turn the TV off.
Damn, look at this shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's intense.
That is...
Is it a cold brew?
That is Hopsy. It's a sponsor of my podcast. That's perfect timing to bring that in. Are you rolling? Yeah, that's Hopsy. It's Krups, so it's just like those coffee pod things, except the pods are right there. Those are the pods. And they're microbrews, IPAs, and you plug them in. It's 6 beers. It's fucking awesome.
No kidding.
It is absolutely, if you drink. I mean, it's pointless if you don't drink, but yeah,
don't
I love it.
Don't judge me like that. I drank, Bert. I drank. I had a lot of adventures when I drank.
I've drank a lot less lately. I've been drinking a ton less lately because I got a tour bus, and it's changed my life.
Have you not seen pictures of his tour bus?
No.
It's got a big picture of him shirtless on the side. It's awesome.
So does that not, like, there's 2 things that people must ask you all the time. Number 1, will it hurt your career to quit drinking? And number 2, will it hurt your career to lose weight?
I don't think, I really don't think of the lose weight thing, although I can't lose weight. I've been trying. When we first entered into Sober October, it started with a group of texts while I was at a Rockies game, and it was Joe saying you couldn't quit drinking for 90 days. And unwisely I replied, easy peasy. And he was like, and then they're like, I smell a bet. And all of a sudden it started escalating like crazy. And I sent it to my manager. I said, just giving you a heads up, I should be quitting drinking for the next 90 days. And everyone across the board were like, this is going to ruin your career.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect my comedy. It doesn't affect my fans watching my comedy. It doesn't affect any of that. What it affected aggressively during Sober October was clubs wanting me to be there. Clubs just didn't want me there.
Why?
No shit.
My good friends, really good friends that own clubs, that are general managers, did not want my business.
Did they think that fans knowing that you're not drinking would result in them not drinking?
They thought no one across the board in the comedy community likes Sober October. For my business, because it cuts. A lot of people do it with us. A lot of people quit drinking also.
Yeah.
And so to come to a club and literally bar sales are cut in a third because a lot of people are doing Sober October also.
Yeah.
And then and I mean it was really crazy. Like I'll be very candid. I was in Omaha with Colleen at the Funny Bone, and she was like, "Are you sure you don't want to drink? Just a few drinks. I mean, just this weekend. It wouldn't be that bad if it was just this weekend." I was in Virginia Beach, and Rick was there, and he was like, "Come on, man, just a few cocktails. What's it gonna kill, huh?"
Yeah.
Because the second I drink, bar sales go through the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a thing with your old partner, Adam Carolla, because, I haven't drank in...
I was there.
Oh, you were there?
Yes, I know. Go ahead. Tell the story.
20-something years I hadn't had a drink, and it drives Adam crazy.
Really?
And so he
sells alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So he put this full court press on me to drink some sangria in the studio.
What?
And wouldn't let up, and it got to be where I got... How would you describe my reaction?
Defensive and contentious?
Yeah. We got into it.
That was the feeling in the room.
Yeah.
But also it was the feeling of like, wait, Adam, are you being... he's sober, right? Like, people don't just throw that away.
Right, and it's not Sober October sober where you're going back to
No,
it.
it's like
this is a
sober
lifelong
life.
commitment to my wife and children hang in the balance of me not drinking.
Yeah.
You're a friendly, good, healthy drunk. You're a Pied Piper for other drinkers. I am a destructive fighting guy that goes to jail when I drink.
I've seen those fighting guys that when they drink they get fighting.
Yeah.
That is so far away from who I am.
Yeah.
I hate confrontation. You don't mind confrontation though.
I love confrontation.
But how could Adam justify if you started drinking again?
That's what I said. I go, you got to call my wife. If you get me to start drinking, your first call is my wife to explain what you just did to our family.
It seemed like a bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was just joking, but then it went on. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, he really wants you to drink.
It won Moment of the Year at the Ace Awards.
Really?
on the podcast. Yeah.
Don't you miss those days of podcasting when it wasn't so people biting their tongue and thinking what they were saying?
Yeah.
And it was just career destroying.
Because we didn't think anybody was listening.
I didn't think anyone was fucking listening.
Right.
Do you remember the time that we did a podcast? We talked about this on your podcast.
Oh, 100%.
This is the best. This is the best. One
I
of the
feel
best
terrible.
podcasts I've
I feel
ever done in my
terrible.
life. Like 2 weeks after she gets fired from Corolla, I start off the interview. I go, "How you doing?" And she goes, "Not good." I went, "Really?" I go, "What's going on?" And she just fucking lights up. Just let me tell you about this. We do 30 minutes. We do 30 minutes of like. At one point, it's
like a
so
lot
good.
of details.
I'm not like real minute details, and I'm not even listening at one point because I'm going, "All right, how's this going to affect my relationship with Adam?" And then in the middle of it, she just stops and she goes, "I don't want to say any of this." And I went,
No, what I said.
What did you say?
I said it was a little more than 2 weeks after.
It was
because
yeah.
like there was already a lot of like shit swirling around about it, and so in the course of saying all of it, I'm like, oh my god, another fucking podcast where I'm talking about this. This is like, I don't want this to be the only thing I talk about, and every time I mention it, there's so much blowback from every direction, and like. I feel like I'm stronger with that stuff now, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Everyone in this room knows it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I'm going to connect to that in a second. But the best part of this is that she goes, "Can we just start over?" And I went, "Yeah." And then I went, "So how you doing?" And she was like, "Good." No, it's once you're past something like that, it's like my issue with Jay and the beef I had with Jay was all started on podcast. It all came to a head on podcast. It was what anyone wanted to talk to me about when I did radio or podcast.
Yeah.
And it was so inflamed for me that anything I said, I would then lay in bed going over my head again and going like, did I make things worse for him? Did I make things worse for me? Did I make things worse for like, it was just a fucking nightmare. And now 9 years later, I'm very comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now when people ask me, and they're like surprised that I'm willing to talk about it. But I think what happened was I said, just sort of saying out loud what I was thinking, I think I said like, quote unquote, I feel uncomfortable talking about it even now.
Yeah.
And then you, because you're so nice, you're like, you do? Well, we don't have to put this out. And I'm like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. I've never, ever, ever asked anyone to not put something out. But
I've asked people.
You offered, and so I took you up on it, but I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
I felt really bad.
I said the N word on Bobby Kelly's podcast one time. Now I've said it a few times on podcasts, but at the very beginning of podcasting, and it was it's never like using it. You were the one that told me the difference between saying it and using it.
Right.
Because you asked me on your podcast, have you ever said the N word? And I went, no. And you went, come on, Bert. And I went, I mean, and you're like, I didn't ask you, did you use it? I said, have you said it? And I went, oh yeah.
Yeah. And plus, your old producer was black, so you would get angry.
Yeah. Well, it comes out.
Wait, what's the difference between using it and saying it?
Well, using it means you're actively being racist. You're using the word to shame and oppress. Saying it is just to say there's a word that is nigger. It's a word, know, and
we'll all say it together.
1, 2, 3.
N-word.
But but that's one of the things. Like, if I ever ran for office or was up for a serious job, they would go back and some asshole would splice together every time I said the N-word.
It's like once it's out, you can't get unpregnant.
Yes.
And so once it's out there, and
yes, you can. It's called abortion.
Oh yeah.
You can't do it.
You can't get a little bit pregnant. I'm going to say a little bit pregnant. Oh, you can't get unpregnant. Yo, you totally can. You actually fall down a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Not for long, but for now you can get unpregnant.
I'll be getting unpregnant in like 2 weeks. So.
Oh, that's true.
God willing.
Is that when you give birth?
Yes.
Are you excited?
2 to 3 weeks. I am excited to not be pregnant anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited to have another baby.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Nice. 2 boys?
Yep. I have a 2-year-old at home.
And then are you done?
Yes.
You had 3?
No, just 2. Boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
Yeah.
How old's your girl?
My girl's 15 and my son is 18. Yeah, so he's going to college in the fall.
Your son's a stud.
He's captain of 2 soccer teams that were both undefeated last year.
I saw a picture of you and him together.
Yeah. Yeah. He's 2.5 inches taller than me.
Yeah.
And he's gorgeous. And he's the most straight down the middle, straight A's. He got into every school he applied to. And I'm going to miss the shit out of him because, I just stare at him going, where did you come from? I was a shit athlete, terrible grades, acne, small. And you know, my wife is not, she's not bright. So I don't know where it came from. It's like we both just look at him going like, did you fuck a better guy?
What's it like to be in love with a man?
That's what it feels like. It really does.
Because I love my daughters, and it's different than the love I have for my wife, but I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be like to love a boy or love a man, like love a young man like that, to want, like, I know what it's like in a weird way, I'm protective of little girls.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them out in the world. I don't want other people talking to them. It's almost like that kind of love. What's it like to love something where you want it to go out and blossom and go like, get the fuck out, man. Like, fucking bang chicks and do cool shit. Like,
I know. It's a very different muscle. And I would say I probably Instagram 10 pictures of him for every one of my daughter.
Really?
Because I don't want her out there.
Yeah.
It's totally true. And I feel like if she were, you know, what I know about him having sex will be very different. I will feel very different about it with my daughter, even at that age.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm going to need to go on a journey where I get to a more comfortable place where I say, I don't want to shame her sexually. Yeah. And you got to be honest. Like, most girls have sex, 16? Is that the age they start?
I mean, I was late. I was 20, but yeah, I'd say 16 sounds.
But you were blowing guys and stuff before that, right?
No.
Wow.
No, the guy that I lost my virginity to is the first guy that I went down on.
Damn.
Really? Mm-hmm. How good do you think you were that first time?
I'm going to say not that good.
How much better have you gotten?
Well, the feedback...
Well, clear your throat. Swallow.
The feedback I get is very good, but in the same way...
Just so you know, that's a lot like...
That's a lot.
Like getting recognized. No one recognizes you and says you're horrible. They go, hey man, love your work. Love you on fucking...
That I know.
5-star Yelp review.
5-star Yelp review.
That's what I was about to say.
It's been pretty good.
5-star gulp review.
Oh my God. That's what I was about to say, is that in the same way that, like, oh my God, will it fit is bullshit. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I like to think I'm good, but I don't really know. There was one boyfriend who was always like, where did you learn to do that? And I was like, that is the weirdest question. And I almost felt like he was suggesting that I was slutty in the question.
That's interesting.
It was weird. Like, it was like a compliment that made me feel like he wanted me to justify like where I learned to do this.
Interesting.
I said the first blowjob I ever got, I said to her, I was a freshman in college, and I said, that was amazing. And she goes, I get that a lot. And it's like, oh, way to make me feel special.
My first blowjob was from a girl who was, she was sexually active in her teen years. And she went at my penis like a fat guy at an IHOP. I mean, she set it up. She set me up, laid me back, did a lot of rubbing first, kissed around the air. I mean, this girl was 15 years old.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, wow. I mean, that was my first blowjob. I don't think I've had a sexual experience like that since. It was so intense.
I was always so rushed and panicked to get into sex. Like, it was all like, my I guess my analogy would be a guy who wakes up 30 minutes before they're landing and the waitress goes, did you want your meal? Like, that's how I have sex, if we're doing food analogies. And so you're like, oh, fuck, quick. Is there a roll? I can see if I can get you one.
Why? Are you afraid the food's going to be taken away?
Yeah. And I don't last very long. And so I'm just always been rushed, and like, I very seldomly, I think if I smoked pot or took a Xanax, I take my time with it.
Mm. But do you go multiple rounds?
No.
Wow. Leanne is a lucky woman.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. To give a good blowjob with all the bells...
I don't think I'm going to need this advice.
Look, you never know. You were asking about what it's like to love a man.
Okay.
To give a good blowjob, like in bed with all the like the hand and the mouth and the hand and the other hand and everything, it's sort of an awkward position and it can be a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you don't want to half-ass it, but still it can be like you get all of a sudden, especially you get like a crick in your neck or whatever, and it's just, it's not the most comfortable position. So since I'm super duper pregnant, my husband has been giving me back rubs in bed. This just started a few days ago, which is very nice. However, it felt so good. I felt both hands. And then all of a sudden, pretty quickly, I just felt one hand. And I'm like, did you stop using both hands? And he's like, yeah, it's a really awkward position for my wrist to be in if I use both hands. And I'm like, aha! But see,
I thought he was jerking off while he was doing it.
But see...
Are you just using one hand? Yeah.
I'm really into rubbing your back. Some guys have a foot fetish. He has a back fetish.
But see, whereas I will muscle through and continue even though I'm uncomfortable, he was quick to just retire one hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you got to be like an accordion player. You got to work everything. Sing while both fingers are working.
Right.
But the thing is, if Bert and I ever give a blowjob, it's going to be because we're in prison and we're not going to want it to be good. Because we don't want that rap.
I disagree. I'd want it to be fantastic so I could wrap it up quicker. I wouldn't want to do a bad job for longer. I'll do a good job for shorter. Does that make sense? I've already thought this through.
But do you want a reputation in prison as the guy that gives the best blowjob?
I'd say, hey, man, if you like these, I wouldn't be spreading around that I'm good at them. Just me and you.
Right.
Yeah.
You really have thought this through.
I've thought this through a lot. I've thought this through a lot. I used to have a bit I did on stage where I'd say to the guy in the front row, if 5 guys broke into our cell, we're cellmates, and they said, do you want anal sex or oral sex? Which one do you pick? And if he took longer than a second, I go, you're already taking way too long. And he'd be like, I just say I don't want either. I go, oh, they'll pick that one. Guess who's getting fucked in the ass while I'm warming him up. And then I was like, the next question was, if you could pick to be the starting pitcher and throw 8 innings, or the closer, John Rocker, and just throw 1 and take the load, which one would you pick? And he go, I go, all right, you're Lucy in the Chocolate Factory, because I'll be starting them all up, and you'll be getting 2 at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I never give a blowjob.
Yeah.
That's all
I don't know. I
for.
used to think about it like I've done everything. I've had 3-ways. I've had this 2 women and a guy. I've had the Kavanaugh 3-way with a buddy.
Yeah.
Several times.
Really?
And had a group sex 4-way one. Like I did it all, and then I thought I should blow a guy.
I just had a friend who said that to me this weekend.
Because I feel like I love David Bowie and Mick Jagger and Iggy Pop, that whole thing that was happening in the early 70s. I thought that's cool. They're experimenting. They're open. So I should try it. And I really did have the intention of, if the situation came up, of doing it. But it just was never right, and now I feel like I'm too old. So
wait, with these threesomes and foursomes that you had where there was another guy, did you guys just keep on different sides of the bed?
They put up
or
a
wherever
curtain, like Mormons.
Yeah, right.
They draped a curtain over her torso. One turn. They called it domino.
Yeah, we stayed very far from each other.
I see.
There was no contact.
How tall was she?
Yeah. We purposely looked for a very tall. We went to the basketball team to find a
was in
woman
the
to do it with.
WNBA.
Yeah, right.
My daughters saw me recently. 2 guys kissed at the counter. We were at the counter eating burgers, and these 2 guys were just leaned over and started kissing. I didn't realize I was doing this, but I went, ooh.
Yeah.
And my daughters were like, what's that about? And I was like, 2 guys are kissing. And they were like, Dad, calm down. Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, it just makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
And they're like, it shouldn't. And I was like, it does. And you're my kids. Don't fucking tell me how to feel. But like, that was my whole reaction growing up. If I saw guys holding hands or something, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like a gag reflex.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, wow, is that like a hate crime? An involuntary hate crime I have?
Yeah.
But I can't.
Is it like your innate physical reaction, or is it just you sort of learned that is the response?
I think I'm sure it's got to be learned, because I've seen 2 dogs fuck before and not been like, ooh, and I should be more turned off by dogs fucking.
Right.
But I guess it's just learned. I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember the very first time. It was a guy I remember the very, 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 very first time I ever saw homosexuality. Mm-hmm. It was on 2020, and it was a guy with his hand in another dude's back pocket. And I just went, oh, what's that? What the fuck? I was like, blew my mind that could be a thing.
Have you ever watched gay porn?
Yeah, once for 45 minutes.
I always thought, because when I thought about the blowjob thing, I thought, all right, I will never know if I'm gay unless I blow a guy. And then I thought, no, why don't I watch gay porn and see if I can masturbate to it?
Oh, I'm sure you could. Dudes blowing other dudes is you stop seeing the face, and you just see the action getting done. You're like, these guys are pros.
Yeah, yeah,
hitting it like a fucking pencil sharpener.
Right,
just,
right. And to get it done, I had to go to straight porn. I had two windows open. I had straight porn.
Yeah.
One was the Japanese hidden camera massage porn, which is my thing.
Japanese hidden camera massage. I've never seen that.
Greg believes it's real.
Oh, no. Alison, it is real, and I will put my house against that. I would bet everything.
Saw. Do you ever watch Backdoor Casting Couch?
Oh, yeah.
Backroom Casting Couch? I saw an outtake of someone saying no, and now I believe that's real.
Yes.
It was almost better than the porn. Was watching a woman stand up for herself was so sexy.
Right.
She was like, how much money? He goes, well, no money. The directors, she's like, no, I'm not fucking you for no money. And the guy's like, well, this is how the industry works. He goes, no, it's not how the fucking industry works. I'm in the industry, and I'm not fucking you for no money. It's going to be $5,000. And he was like,
that's great.
I'd never seen that guy on his heels before.
That guy sucks.
He sounds like Jon Favreau. He said, I guarantee you I could tell that guy in a shower. I could find that guy.
Yeah.
Like if he was in the shower, I'd see his little hernia with his belly button, shaved stomach. He does steroids on and off. You can tell that he cycles.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he's fat as fuck, and other times he's not. He's yoked.
Right.
Yeah. That I'd be interesting to see that guy's face.
And it's the same lines every time.
Yeah.
We can get you $1,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
I'm getting the gist, but what's Backdoor Casting Couch?
Oh, it's the greatest thing in porn.
Back room, not back room.
Backroom casting couch. Guy in Arizona. I've watched so many of them. I can pretty much tell
Phoenix.
you it's Arizona. Is in an office building. Girls come in, and he tells them he's scouting adult actresses.
So he'll put an ad on, like, we used to be Craigslist, but he puts ads places.
And they come in, and he's basically like, "Hey, you're beautiful. Have you ever done any acting? Why you want to get into this?" He, like, good 7-minute conversation that he edits down, but you can tell it's like a solid conversation. And then he's like, "Great. Let me see your tits." And then they show their tits, and he's like, "Awesome. Now stand up, turn around. Okay, now drop your panties, bend over." And they do that, and he's like, "All right, now I want to see you play with yourself." And they do that, and then he goes.
But each level of this, the excitement sexually is not knowing if she's going to do it, and it's the ones that hesitate.
It's the
that
look
draw
in their
you
eyes.
in.
The
It's
look in their eyes, where they're like, "Okay," like a double blink, and then he drops the hammer and he says, "All right, so these casting directors are going to want to they're going to know that you're good on camera and that you can perform. So right now I'm going to need you to suck my dick."
Oh my God.
And then you watch the girl go, "All right," and that's the part where that watching their eyes and their body reaction. Some girls are like, "Okay," like real at it, but
some of them are like, you ever blow in your dog's face?
Yeah.
That face your dog makes when you blow air in his face. It's like that. It's like they were hit by just the transition that they know they need to make right now or not make. It's a fight or flight response.
And this is what turns you on?
It's, you know what it is? And I've done a lot of thinking about this. I think I've seen so much fakeness, so many girls detached in porn.
Yeah.
That to see the humanity in a person during sex, which is what you have with your partner. You see the person, to see a person in the act.
Right.
That's what's sexy. Is like,
You've made porn beautiful.
Yeah, well, then it gets dirty. It's like, all right, now I'm gonna need to fuck you in the ass.
Oh,
and
really?
Every single one of them do it.
Right.
And it's like every single one. It's like their first time.
Yeah.
And it's the same desk, same camera shots.
You will, but there is definitely shame involved at the end. After you finish, you feel bad.
Yeah.
Whereas Japanese lesbian hidden camera massage porn, it is a woman who comes in, and I think they just put like a sign on the street, massage.
Yeah.
And then Japanese women come in, and it's a regular massage room, and they tell them to take off their clothes. They lay down, face down, and they start working. They do the regular massage until they get to the buttocks area, and then they start working the inner thigh, and then there's a grazing. There's a grazing of the lip, slight, for a while. And then on the other side, a grazing, just to where the woman, and the best part is they keep a camera on the woman's face. There's like 4 hidden cameras, and one angle is the face. That's the angle you want, because that's where you see the eyes go wide. Well, they're Japanese, so the eyes go wide, and the eyeballs start to look up and down. There's all these subtle moves. Meryl Streep could not play the subtle transition from innocence to getting turned on that you see in this. And by the end, I won't ruin the ending, but it gets very fucking intense.
That's why we like reality television, is those things that an actor couldn't capture. In those voyeuristic porns, you see things. That's why like I get pissed off when I see like a girl pays her cab bill by blowing the driver. I'm like, that's not real.
Yeah.
None of that's real. Something real is just like, holy shit.
Yeah, right. And I don't feel guilty at the end because the woman is brought to climax in a way that's beautiful, and it's like she was going to get her body rubbed anyway. She was brought to a new place. For many of them, you're guessing it was their first lesbian experience. And then they shower in the room afterwards. There's like a little shower stall.
Really?
And then they bow to each other. There's a bowing.
I love that the culture's still there.
Yeah.
So ceremonious. Is she brought to orgasm with hands?
Or machines or mouth.
Wait, what machines?
They bring vibrators out.
Okay.
They bring her a vacuum cleaner, and then she's a woman, so she sees a vacuum cleaner and has an orgasm.
They dust her.
There's one porn star. I'm gonna find her name. Her name's something Peach. She is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Without a doubt, one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. And for the life of me, I can't understand what happened to her to get her in porn.
Yeah.
Like I just, and you only see them like naked, so you don't know what kind of clothes they put on. You know how you ever like meet someone and you're like, yeah, they're good looking, but look what they're wearing. Like that's who they are. Like look at her shoes. There was this beautiful girl that I worked with one time, and she just had the ugliest goddamn shoes, and there were only a pair of shoes, and you couldn't look past that. And directors were like, she's beautiful, but did you see her shoes?
Yeah.
What was going on with these shoes?
They weren't cool. They were like, imagine, they were like the ugliest shoes.
Are they like nurse shoes?
No, they were, I don't want to describe them too much because she might know who she is, and she might go, wait, those are my cool shoes. But they were like red high tops with like, not like wings coming off them, but like just really ugly. She wore them everywhere, and I think no one could get past the decision-making process in that person's brain to put on those shoes. Then affected the way we saw that person.
See, I feel the opposite. I always looked for the girl that had the mullet or who had an eye that wandered, because I felt like that's my in.
Okay. Like there was a girl in high school who's gorgeous, but her thighs were the same size as her ankles, and I was like, okay, I can look past that.
Big ankles or small thighs?
Massive ankles. Not really.
Ankles. Thigh ankles.
No one complains about small thighs.
I know. Well, if they were exactly the same as their ankles, that's really
It's
small.
an overstatement, but they were massive cankles, and I started dating her, and then inevitably you're like, I can see past that, but then your friends wouldn't let you see past that.
Oh, that sucks.
They'd be like, oh yeah, I heard she was playing basketball, stepped on a basketball, it didn't hurt at all. And you were like, oh, come on, guys. And they're like, no, seriously. Have you played soccer with her? She kicks the ball far as fuck. That's the thing that hopefully, like when they talk about getting rid of masculine toxicity,
toxicity.
Masculine toxicity. Toxic masculinity.
Toxic, that's it. That's the thing that I hope they get rid of, is like all the things that like guys, like people will always go, oh, boys are horrible. They didn't grow up with them. I did. Like I grew up with boys and men, and it was there were times where you're like, motherfucker, this is my people.
Oh, every girl that was in our friend group growing up that was like dateable, there was always one girl they called the twitch, because she had like a slight twitch, but that made her like undateable. Like they all had one little thing.
Dirt.
What's that?
Dirt.
What's that?
The girl that was dirty. just always had like pimples and greasy, and now you're dating Dirt. Oh, I have a joke where I call my daughter Dirt.
No,
because she got ringworm. And I said to my oldest daughter, I go, hey, Georgia, stay away from Dirt over here. She got fucking ringworm.
So you're the guy. You're the friend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I was a friend. The friend, by the way, for the record, is the one who's not getting any pussy.
That's right.
And wants to sabotage everyone else's pussy. So, yes, I was that guy.
Well,
Yes.
maybe that's the move. As your girls get older, hang around with their friends or the guys and just call her Dirt.
I was insufferable. Like, there was a girl that came in and she had a very beautiful dress on to go out, and it just happened to have navy blue pinstripes, right? And as she walked in the door, I saw them and I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, batting fourth for the New York Yankees." And she started crying and left. I know, yeah. And my buddy was dating her and he was like, "Seriously?" I was like, I couldn't leave that one on the table. It was right over the center of the plate. I had it out of the park. Yeah, I was not the best guy.
Yeah.
In like retrospect, I mean, I didn't like sexually harass anyone or sexually assault anyone, but I definitely bullied people with my sense of humor of like things, you didn't have a way to like kind of show your sense of humor. It's like I was talking to Stanhope about it. The kind of guys who would get naked at a party and jump in the pool. Yeah. Definitely me.
Right.
Definitely me.
Which now you would be. You'd be under Megan's law. You'd have to be knocking on doors the rest of your life.
100%. That was a style of sense of personality.
Yeah.
Back then is all.
Yeah, because I had friends who their thing was always getting naked at parties. Do people still do that? I haven't been to a party in a long
That's sexual
time.
assault.
Yeah.
We used to do a thing. Me and Tom Cotter.
Yeah.
Me and Cotter and another guy up in Boston, Rich Seisler. We used to go to parties, and the bet was. Who could hang ball? What do you call it? Hanging balls?
Hanging brains.
Who could hang brains longer at the party? And so, like, we'd keep eye contact with people so they wouldn't look down. And you'd be fucking howling because you'd be looking at a friend talking to somebody 3 inches away from them with their hairy balls hanging out.
There are so many pictures that I took on Cowhead's Cruise one year of people that wanted pictures, and I just would have my balls out the whole time.
Yeah.
Ari gets naked still on stage. Just gets naked and goes out on stage.
Ari does?
100%.
No shit.
He did that. I did a Call and Sick to Work show for the All Things Comedy Festival, and Ari walked out completely naked, and he's got a big dick.
Yeah.
So I don't think people mind when it's a big dick.
Yeah.
I think it's a small dick that makes them feel assaulted.
Well, because Bobby Lee goes on naked too, right? And he has a
Bobby
small
Lee
dick.
did fucking Comedy Central naked. He took his dick out on stage at Comedy Central. I've never laughed so hard in my fucking life. Wow. But once again, it's one of those things like there's two types of people. There are guys that get naked at parties, and then there are guys that hate guys that get naked at parties. Yeah. And the guys that get naked at parties, but one of them, we always found it hilarious. Because I think in defense of us, there's a certain guy that's so egregiously offended by guys who take their dicks out. It's not the women we were ever looking at. We were looking at the guys that were like, "What the fuck?" And you're like, "What, does it scare you? Like, is it not? Yeah, is that your first dick you've ever seen?"
Yeah.
I think that's what we look at. We never looked at the girls. I don't think any girl ever.
Were you ever at a party where a guy got naked?
I'm sure I have been.
Didn't faze you?
Not really.
Isn't that weird that if a girl did it, it would be like,
titillating.
She's a whore, or like, whoa, look at those tits. But when a guy does it, it's immediate comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Not obviously not if he exposes himself to a woman privately, but at a party. If he
right. It's always like, oh, he's crazy doing that, getting naked again.
Chelsea Handler's done it
Really?
when I'm around. She'll pop a tit out, but they're beautiful.
Oh yeah, I would like to hang out with her more then.
Yeah.
Like pop a tit out in the hanging brains way, where just all of a sudden it's out, or she makes a show of it.
Somewhere in the middle. It's like it's presented. In a way that, like, she just looks at you like, I don't give a shit.
I think that's awesome. There's nothing bad I can say about that.
Yeah.
I just watched her do a cooking show out of her house where she had a joint in her hand the whole time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I called her a cunt on my special.
You did?
Not directly, but I just was like, my daughter was saying the word cunt like she had just got done working with Chelsea Handler. And I've never heard, like, it's just a lot of people she's worked with have said really nasty things about her.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I've never even met Chelsea Handler, but I just thought it was a funny joke. I was looking for a woman's name that I thought could take a joke, or at least I wouldn't have to be into a fight with. I was like, Chelsea, I think could give two fucks.
Right.
But I now I always regret it because I really like her, and I like her stand up, and I always liked her as a person. just as like a outsider. And so I'm sure one day someone's gonna be like, this guy Bert Kreischer called you a cunt, and they're not gonna explain the nuance to her, and she's gonna be like, fuck him.
The nuance of your cunt joke.
Why is that so offensive to call a woman a cunt? I think it's sexy.
You do?
100%. I think I'm more attracted to a cunty woman personally. My wife's a cunt. We got into a fight at Gelson's today.
What was the fight about?
Gelson's. She was. I didn't realize that I had to go to Levity yesterday to sell cookies with my daughters. Girl Scout cookies.
You went to your management company to sell? Oh, to sell to the because they have to buy them.
Yeah, they spend.
They're taking 10% of your money.
They spend like $2,000 on cookies.
No.
So the girls clean up, right? So yesterday I haven't been home for a month, and so yesterday I was like, I'm gonna go with the girls and I'll do it with them, and then they'll probably move more merch because I'm with them and I know how to sell merch. So as soon as we get there, I realized I don't remember everyone's name, and now this is turning into a little bit of anxiety for me. But I didn't realize that. All my daughters and wife saw is that I got anxious and I started maybe talking louder or whatever. I was quick. Come on, hey, come on, let's go. I don't know what I was doing, but my wife was reacting to that, and I was just simply blaming my wife for being a bitch when it was in fact me doing it. And then we went to the movies, and I got into an argument with my youngest daughter, who I felt was trying to hijack it spiraled out. And then this morning we got into another fight, and she was trying to explain to me why the fight was, and I wasn't allowing her. And then when I realized that it was my fault, and I tried to say I was sorry, she had already been beat up so much that she wasn't done with me. And I told her the analogy, you ever seen a guy on the ropes that is unconscious, but he's still standing and taking punches? I go, that's how I feel right now. I feel like I'm being assaulted by you. That blew up in the fucking middle of Gelson's. And some old lady got mad at us because we were standing in front of something, and we were clearly having a fight in Gelson's. But not a fight.
Yeah.
But just a
tension.
Yeah.
You were venting some tension at each other.
Yeah.
You know the Girl Scout cookie, because it's that season again now.
Yep.
And I was thinking about this, when you see these girls will set up a table fucking anywhere now, and you see them and you feel a little bit guilty, and you also feel like I'm a really good guy if I buy these cookies.
Yeah.
And then the same person will walk through the parking lot at Ralph's, and a black kid will come up with a box of Snickers and be like, hey, will you help my basketball team? And you're like, that's a fucking scam.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you see the Girl Scout get into her dad's BMW to drive home with a pocket full of cash.
That's a really interesting insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because whenever those kids are selling candy bars, I'm always just like, guys, I'm good. But I'm never in the mood. A candy bar is a purchase that you eat immediately. Girl Scout cookies are something you take home.
Right. Also, if the kid selling the Snickers bar is fat, you're like, hey, don't get high on your own supply there, Junior. And I'm not buying it. You're not playing basketball.
Did you ever see Mike Epps' bit about selling candy bars?
No.
It was fucking genius. It was about how America turns you into a thug. You start off as a good young kid just trying to sell candy bars, and Mike Epps has such a genius way of representing his body to show his age. And he just was stand there and he'd be like, good morning, man. And he'd do his spiel, and it was a spiel. Clearly he had sold candy bars. He had definitely sold candy bars. And then the door gets slammed in his face. And the next one's like, man. And the next one is like, and then finally he's like, bitch, on the fucking ground. On the fucking ground. Where do you keep your money? I'm selling candy bars. Where do you keep your money? Fuck candy bar. Killer. No, it was fucking genius.
Yeah.
But
how do you feel about the fact that the parents are selling the cookies? Because I don't mean to be like a real nerd about this, but I feel because I was a brownie and I went door to door. Not that I feel like I learned a lot from it, but that's definitely how it was done. And now it's just parents sending emails out like, we have cookies, buy them,
we haven't done. We've done that.
I feel like it's incumbent on the parents now to sell them for the kids.
Yeah.
100%. If you left it up to my daughters, they would not have sold one.
And the whole point is supposed to be teaching them life skills.
The cookies thing is a little bit a lot of parents don't like the cookie thing. Leanne is extremely active in the Girl Scouts. And the Girl Scouts is an amazing organization, but that cookie thing is a little bit of a throwback to the old Girl Scouts. And I think it's run its course. I don't think it's ever going to leave because I think Americans have their heart connected to Girl Scout cookies. I mean, it's like everyone knows their favorite Girl Scout cookie.
I also think, from what I've read, they get a really slim cut of the profits.
Yeah, $1 for every box, and they sell the box for $5.
Where
That's
does it
shit.
go? To the Girl Scout?
Well, it goes to the Girl
Council or
Scouts.
whatever?
It goes to the making of the cookies, and then I guess the girls get $1 for their troop, and so
Oh, so it doesn't go to the national kitty. It goes to their own local troop.
they get $1. I think per box goes to their personal troop,
Right.
and then they decide what they want to do with their Girl Scout money. And I think my oldest daughter, I think they're going to like New York.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but she's 14 and still in Girl Scouts, and she's been a gamer. Like, but it's my wife. My wife had a shitty childhood. No one tell her I said this, but like, my wife had a shitty childhood and was someone who would have wanted to go to Girl Scouts, and her mom was just not there. And so this is my wife reliving her past.
Yeah.
Like if your dad was an alcoholic and now you're coaching baseball and a little bit overcompensating for what you didn't have, that is my wife wholeheartedly.
Right.
See, when I found out that I was having a boy with my first, I grieved is too strong, but I was a little bit disappointed because I had all these things in my mind planned to redo with my daughter that like I felt like in my own life,
Yeah.
oh, I can't wait to help her when she gets her period. I can't wait to help her with her wedding and all these things that I feel like were a little bit botched in my own childhood.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realized like, well, that's not the point of me having a kid isn't to heal myself, but still there is a bunch of stuff that I don't know how to go down having a boy. Like we've talked, so we have a parenting podcast.
Yeah.
It's loosely based on parenting. It's called Childish. A lot of people love it who don't have kids. So I don't want to call it a parenting podcast like you have to have kids, but we talk about our lives and we talk about our kids. And one of the things we talk about, oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought.
Well, I tell you, the first
because I'm so pregnant, I can't think.
first
anymore.
episode we came out swinging with Alison talking about getting pregnancy orgasms
In my
while she
sleep.
sleeps.
I had it with both pregnancies. Yeah, I haven't been having them lately. I think it's like an early pregnancy thing, but I will have an orgasm in my sleep. And then I kind of like wake up right as it's like ending. And it must be hormonal or it's like the pressure on the parts. I don't know what it is, but it's one of the perks.
Yeah.
And then Greg was like, oh, and then do you roll over and like put a move on your husband? I'm like, no, I'm done.
Oh my God. You know how much that would suck? It's like they're stealing the fucking jewels before Indy gets there.
Yeah, right.
Fuck.
I wonder if maybe the baby's like reaching down.
Like, is there a way? Is this the doorbell?
Yeah.
Is this the doorbell? Is anyone in here?
Found it. He found the G spot.
That is actually
Daniel never could.
Oh my God. Okay. I was going to save this for our show, but I'll tell you here because I've been meaning to tell
wow.
Greg.
We got the scoop.
So we were talking, let me backtrack and say what I was going to say is that one of the things that we've talked about on Childish is as a mom, I don't know how to handle when my son or sons soon go through puberty. Like that is a totally foreign thing to me.
Yeah.
I think I just should be real hands off and knock before entering.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was gonna say before. But so we were talking about spanking your kids, which we are both very against. And
My wife spanked Isla once.
for what?
Isla, I dare I say she deserved it. Isla was jumping on the couch at the lake house, which we don't own the couches. My wife's aunts do, or did at the time. They're both alive. And she was wet. She had been in the lake, and they would ask her to stop doing it. She kept doing it, kept jumping up. And then Leanne said, Isla, do that one more time, and I'm going to give you a spanking. And Isla got off the couch, turned around, looked at the couch, and spit on it.
Oh my God.
And literally played the hand like, I want to see you spank me, bitch. And because my wife's whole family, who's redneck, they got hit with switches. They all were like, now you got to hit her. And Leanne took her into the bedroom and gave her a spanking. It's the only time Isla got hit by my dad, too. Both for spitting, oddly enough. The one with my dad was, you remember the game, you're going to have I can tell your fortune. You're going to have a
Right.
big house. You're going to have a swimming pool and you spit in the guy's palm.
Yeah.
I'd done that to Isla in front of her friends and they all laughed. And then she came on up to my dad and goes, Papa, can I read your fortune? And he was like, of course, honey. She just goes up and spits in his hand. She didn't even do the joke. She was going, ugh. My dad's like, what the fuck? And just smacked her on the ass.
Oh.
But yeah. So you said you didn't.
Yeah, so
really
we're both against spanking, and we had done this news story on the show that I forget the statistic now, but spanking is is like a lot more common across the country than we realized.
Really?
Oh, like 70% of the country believes in spanking.
No.
Yes.
I would think ever since the Adrian Peterson thing, 30% of the country spanks.
Nope.
It was surprising. So we were kind of aghast at this. And then someone emailed us, childishpod@gmail.com, to say that he spanks his kids sometimes, and he gave an explanation of it. So we were talking about this email, and I feel like we were being a little bit judgmental about it because we have strong feelings about this. But then Greg, out of the blue, is like, has your husband ever spanked you? And so I said yes, and then we started talking about that and how, like, I feel like for most women that's a turn on.
She loves it. Alison loves it.
I feel like this has gotten really blown out of proportion.
My wife loves it.
Most women are into that kind of stuff.
My wife likes it.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Right. So most women are into it, but then you're like, something about like, has he ever like bent you over his knee and like said you're a bad girl and stuff? And I said no, and then I said, but I wouldn't be opposed to that. I feel like this has taken on a life of its own in terms of like. So anyway, here's the thing. I'm a very like way too open person. My husband is a very private person.
Oh.
He so far I don't think he listens to Childish, which I feel like I'm in this weird like uncomfortable pocket of, I'm not sure, but I don't think so. And I'm just going with it because I can't, when Greg and I get together, like we just talk about everything. I can't help myself, but be total. This is who I am. So every time I talk about that stuff, I think like, I don't think he would love that I'm broadcasting this, but oh well. So anyway, my son is obsessed with his iPhone, not his iPhone, with iPhones in general. And we used to try not to let him have it, but now we let him have it sometimes, which is another thing we talk about on the show, like how to put boundaries around that. So he is holding the phone and my husband is watching him, and I hear him playing Childish.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh,
And I
shit.
hear us talking about an email, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is the most, because it would make sense that he's not that nimble with iTunes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's listening to the most recent episode. We're talking about the email. It's like the bomb's going to go off and it's counting down. I'm like, I have a very limited amount of time to get there before this turns into the spanking of adult conversation. So, and I know that I can't grab the phone from him. He'll freak out. And my husband will be like, so I'm like trying to get the phone from him without my husband realizing what's going on.
Please tell me this just ends in you beating the shit out of your son.
Yeah, I guess I was wrong. So anyway, my husband's...
I was finally tested. Yeah.
My husband's changing his diaper and he's still playing it. And so I acted it makes him like a lunatic. Like I came in and I'm like, oh, I have a text. Like, let me just check that. And so while my son's like trying to get the phone away from me, I'm pretending that I'm trying to check a text, but instead I just am trying to change what he's listening to. Oh. And then I managed, and then he changed it back, but then I managed to change it back. So I still don't think
you accidentally changed it to the Bert's podcast and talking about fucking a guy in prison.
Yeah. Would you take his load or start the load for him?
Right. So that was a real close call.
What do you think about spanking kids?
I'm against it. I didn't like it though. It was just humiliation for me.
Exactly.
It didn't hurt. It was just humiliation. I didn't like.
And it's a betrayal. It's the person that you need to trust the most actively trying to hurt you, which is a weird thing to wrap your head around.
And I felt like it never really taught me how to deal with conflict.
Yeah.
Like it just was like, oh, this is over. I'm going to hit you for this.
It makes the parent an antagonist.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying it turns the relationship into one of antagonism.
Yeah.
And you're not like on the same team trying to work through a problem anymore.
My biggest thing that I didn't do that my parents did that I didn't realize was bad was predict failure. My dad would predict failure all the time.
Yeah.
Like he would go, do that. You're going to cut your fucking hand. And then I'd cut my hand and I'd learn always that my instincts are wrong and his were right. Mm. And I did that. I started doing that to Georgia. And my wife's like, do not predict her failure. Stop the failure. Help her learn. That was the biggest thing. I cut my hand so bad with a fucking knife one time. And my dad watched me do it. He knew I was going to do it. I had an orange in my hand and I was cutting through it. And my guy goes, you're going to cut your hand. I said, no, I'm not. And he goes, okay, keep going. And he let me cut my fucking hand open.
How old were you?
27.
No, I was probably 10 years old, and we had just moved into our new house, and I just sliced my hand open. I was like, "Why would you let me do that?" And he goes, "I told you."
Yeah.
But that was the way my dad parented. Was like, "No, keep going, see what's gonna happen. You're gonna like this."
We would fuck up, and then my mom would smack us. She was like Leon Spinks. She was fast.
Yeah.
And then was that a good choice of boxers for fast?
That was really good, I think, in my opinion. Yeah.
And so she'd smack us, and then she'd say, it was the classic wait till your father gets home, which is even worse than the beating.
You get beat twice for it?
We would get sent to our room where we would sit. And don't forget, back then, there's no cell phones. We had no TV. You were sitting in a fucking prison cell.
Like
waiting
first 48.
for 6-7 hours. And my dad didn't come home till late. He was out drinking till, 1 a.m. So, like, wake you up. And then he would come in and beat you.
With his open palm or...
Sometimes drop your pants, take his belt off, whip you. And it was crazy. And so I used to do a joke about, like, my father beat me, but, not too much. I think he beat me just right. I remember the last time he beat the shit out of me, just getting up off the ground and thinking... perfect. He really nailed it. Any more would have been barbaric, and any less I wouldn't be out trying to make drunks laugh every night.
I only got spanked a couple times. I didn't get spanked a lot. My dad wasn't like a hitter.
Yeah.
But not to like criticize my dad, but my mom was always on my team. Like she was always like, oh, she could always find the right in what I think my mom was a little detached too, but my dad, he was never wrong. I always had to apologize. So like, I mean, to this day, I think it's why I'm good at apologizing, but it's why I don't have a lot of firm viewpoints. Like people always get upset because I don't state my politics on my podcast. I really don't know my politics because my dad never allowed me a place to land with my opinion.
Right.
Like when the Gulf War started, I walked in and my dad was watching it on TV. And I was like, oh, I can't believe you're watching this. This is what's wrong with this country. We need to protest this war. We got to get our troops out of there. We need to bring them back home. I don't want any Americans dying. I think I was 17 years old. My dad goes, you're a fucking idiot. Go to your room until you realize why you're not a fucking idiot. And
really?
I went to my room and then I was like, I have my opinions. I go, clearly they're wrong. And I was like, all right, what are the right ones? I was like, clearly they're his. Okay. And I was like, all right, I don't have the answer to this. So I walked down and I was like, okay, I don't know why I'm an idiot. And he was like, this is the first time we're getting to see a war ever in my generation of where we're watching them invade. Currently we're watching them invade. He goes, Saddam Hussein's an animal and what he's doing to his people is absolute genocide and we need to stop it. And so you need to shut the fuck up with your war protest. You don't know what you're talking about and sit down with me and watch us invade Iraq. And I went, okay. And so then I was like, I don't know. I think always I've been like that.
Was he a soldier?
No, but my dad's very, 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 very liberal. Like beyond liberal, like to this day, but not an idiot. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like he just is. Like I remember when I'd say faggot as a kid, he'd be like, "What are you afraid you're gay?" And I'd be like, "No, Dad, that's what you call it." He goes, "No, that's not what you call anybody." He goes, "Unless you're worried that you're gay, then don't say that. Like if you're gay, if you're afraid that you're gay, then yeah, let yourself vent that way until you find out you're gay." I was like, I'm not gay, Dad. And he's like, then stop saying it.
Is that the time he made you watch 45 minutes of gay porn?
Yeah, exactly. No, my dad's a really interesting guy. Very smart, very humble.
Was that weird, though, to be in Florida and be a liberal? Were you surrounded by conservatives?
It still is. It still is. Like his best friends voted for Trump, and my dad is not a Trump supporter. But my dad's also, my dad's motto in life was eat shit, cash checks. So he was like, his dad died when he was 13
Pragmatic.
and he was left to his own devices at 13, had to find a way to go to college, went on a track scholarship, had to find a way to go to high school, went on a track scholarship, and just like has always provided for himself. And so he didn't have the luxury of having an opinion, didn't have the luxury of like stirring the waters and being like a contrarian.
Yeah.
He was just go with the flow, but I know where I stand.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
because my mom lives in Florida and she's a liberal,
Yeah.
And she's surrounded by, she lives in one of these big buildings in Florida. It's not an old folks home, but everybody's old.
Yeah.
And they're all, I think that old people, especially when they go down and they live in a community, start to shift to the right.
Really?
I don't know what it is, but I think they start to look at the world as more of a scary place that needs more like military presence and more conservative values. And I don't know what it is, but she has a really hard time with it. She just holds her tongue all the time. And then all my aunts and uncles, like, it's weird because we grew up Irish, and there was Kennedy, there was Camelot, there was this moment where Irish Catholics really embraced the civil rights movement, and they were on the right side of a lot of things. And then all of a sudden, it's shifted. And I mean, you look at Trump, all of his guys are Irish.
Really?
Yeah. And Flynn and all these guys, and there's a big outcry among liberal Irish of like, what happened to us? We've gone so far to the right.
It's so interesting you say that, because my whole family in Philadelphia is all, my mom, everyone was liberal Irish, Kennedys, and now when I go and drink beer, if I ever do helium and I drink beer with them in my Nana's garage, they're not liberal anymore.
No.
They're not
I think
at
it's
all.
because I think that the social issues like abortion and gay marriage, all that stuff got kind of co-opted by the right, and they dragged all the Catholics with them.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm liberal, but I think what's happened with politics now is that it's not just good enough to be liberal. You got to be lunatic liberal.
I know.
Like, you can't just be liberal and open-minded, because if you say the wrong things, you know what Liam Neeson said?
Who?
Oh,
yeah. Jesus. That was crazy. What
Why
was
did
it?
he
He
come
said
out
that
with it?
he said that a friend of his was raped by a black guy, so he was looking for a black guy to kill.
Yeah.
He was looking, yeah. I think, I mean, how old is he? Who the fuck says that in an interview?
And then he tried to justify it by going, well, I'm from Northern Ireland, and my friends were killed died in a hunger strike. It's like, what does that have to do with wanting to kill black people?
Oh, who says that in a fucking interview?
Yeah, that's the part that I can't get, is like, why did you... No one dug up this story. Like, why did you decide to share this? Did
And
you
he made
think
it this far.
Yeah.
He made it this many years without saying something
so
stupid.
far. He's like 70 years old.
And this is like a long
He's
time
what?
ago.
He's 66,
Yeah.
and he's like, and they're like, Liam, you got no sexual harassment. You're clean.
Right.
Your
Yeah.
wife passed away unexpectedly. We're all on your side. He's like, did I tell you about the time I tried to kill a black man? No, just because of his skin color.
And not one black man, any black man
Just
came
looking
by.
for the skin color. Oh, fuck.
So I'm dying to know about the ski trip. Tell me
the
about.
ski trip was fucking awesome.
So it was you and Ari and who
Me,
else?
Ari, Steve Renazizi, Sean Patton, and Mark Normand.
Nice.
Yeah. It's, do you know, it's you forget how quick comedians are
Yeah.
until you spend time with them. Once you spend time with them, you're like, oh, that's right. Everyone's like quick as shit. It really made me jealous that I don't spend more time with comedians, because, and not just at the store, I meant like legit trips, because you would take one premise and whittle it into the fucking most fucked up thing that only we found funny.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious to us. It was a really great ski trip, to be honest with you. Ari
Good
is the
skiing?
great skiing. Ari is disgusting. Like, one of the jokes we were making is, and this, I felt bad about this. I hope it didn't come out bad. But we were saying, if you could, if you could describe yourself as a skier, as one comedian, like your skiing style as a comedian style, who would it be? And Mark Norman's like, Ellen DeGeneres. I should have quit while I was ahead. and then someone said, I forget what someone else said, and then I said, Ari, you're Josh Blue. You would do it really good, but it doesn't look like it should be pretty. And then, but it was great to then take like a premise, like, and just go, hey, we're gonna throw this premise up in the air, and all day let's just play with it. Like, we were naming ski slopes the way they name, like, ooh, this is and they're like, hey, if you guys, like, we just say it to each other, should we do Glory Hole real quick? And just it was fun as fuck.
Yeah.
More of that needs to happen, where, and then not in a competitive manner where it's like you're at a festival. It's just like where there was like a comedic retreat
right.
where you could wake up in the morning with a premise and just watch each other kind of each bat it around and make each other laugh, and then out of nowhere bring it up, and 2 hours later and just fucking fall out laughing.
Yeah, I do this. These comedians get together sometimes and play golf, and it's like that on the golf course. It's just like we can. Yeah, somehow it was a Holocaust theme, and it was about Anne Frank, and and it's just the things that you can't say in front of anybody else. Except sometimes when you play, like the course we played, it has fivesomes, and there were like 16 of us, so each group had like a foursome, and then they'd add a player who was not a comedian, who just showed up to the course. And they're hearing us do Anne Frank jokes. And this one guy just went at one point, guys, this is wrong.
Do you know what's crazy, absolutely insane about this? Is inevitably we would end up skiing. We get there at like 10, we'd ski till noon, and then we'd stop and get a beer at one of the places, and we would spend 2 hours deconstructing a comedian. Like deconstructing his act, deconstructing his touring. We would tear apart someone's special. We would just comedians talking shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was like, I'm not even joking, at least 5 times where we should be like, look at how beautiful this is, but we couldn't help it. We were just at the back table at the cellar, just fucking whittling apart some sort of something about someone.
Yeah.
We're telling one story over and over again, or we're telling our favorite jokes. And it was absolutely fucking phenomenal. I could have done it for 3 days. I was there for 5, and that 5 was long. I was there.
That's a lot.
I got there Monday. I was there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, left Sunday. So there's 6 days, 7 days.
And then wait, so you do a week at the Comedy Works before the trip, and then Ari does the week after?
No. Steve Renazizi does the week before. Ari does the week after.
Okay.
I did. I was on tour and just left there. I'd been gone for like almost a month, and then left from the tour to go to this. And
a month straight without coming home?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, and then the wife was okay with you after a month being gone, going to ski?
That's why we're fighting.
Yeah,
I would think. We're fighting, yeah. And I'm going to leave in a couple days to go back on tour.
Shit, for how long?
It was supposed to be for 2 weeks, but I got to come back to host some event.
Yeah.
And so I'm flying back for 2 days to host this event and then flying back out. I got to be honest with you, this is going to sound really horrible. I don't want to come home now. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's easier for me to manage my emotions, my health, my life by staying on the road, because I'm in a tour bus, by staying on the road and just working.
Yeah.
And just going like...
That makes sense.
It's because I drink when I fly. And so if I'm not, and I don't drink in the tour bus. I mean, I'll drink at night, like when but like for the most part, yeah, no, I meant like,
I drink at night.
No, but I meant like, like people thought I was going to be like, get up in the morning, go drink, or like Ralphie eating pills and then going back to bed. I do understand how that happens so fucking easily. It's so easy.
On a bus.
Oh yeah. I understand how addiction runs wild on a bus.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like at the end of the night, when we get on the road to drive, I'll have a few drinks, but you're home. That's the crazy part, is you're home. So you have a few drinks at home, you're like, I'm going to go to bed. You don't like go like at a bar after a show, you're like, one more round, let's do one shot and then we'll leave. Last call. And then you're like, get a couple, we'll take it back to the hotel room. Yeah. None of that happens. So it's so much healthier for me. But
and how many people are on the bus?
It's 5 at any time.
Who are they?
It's Cobra is my assistant. Dean is the driver, me, and then the opener, and then I have a cameraman, John Mans, and then on this trip we're gonna add one more as a producer, a field producer.
Damn.
So we can shoot segments. Yeah, it sleeps 8. So
and who's the opener?
This week's Dave Williamson. Last week was Shane Torres, Dusty Slay, and Jesus Trejo. I love it, but it has been, I'd rather stay on the road because you're doing 2 shows a night. You get Monday, Tuesday off. And so you're like, well, fuck, I don't want to fly home Monday and fly back out Tuesday or Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
I'd rather just be out there.
So the tour bus, where does it lives in LA? The tour bus?
It lives in Nashville.
And is it just yours?
Just mine for 3 months. And then at the end of 3 months, it's done.
Really?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that.
Pictures of the tour bus with Bert's half naked body on the side.
Segura just got one. It's the greatest. I'm being dead serious. I think someone like you, like Halston and I were talking about trying to set up a podcast studio in there. It just wouldn't work. It's too tight. there's not enough room. It's not. You'd have to really get a different type of bus, or you'd have to you'd have to do headsets or something. Like you couldn't do mics. It's just way too loud. But I got to be honest with you. You got to try it once.
Do you just watch movies?
Oh, dude, it's the best. You just we get in the bus after the show. The bus is parked outside the venue. So like the bus is right outside the theater. So you don't even go in the green room. You're in your bus and then watching the NFC championship game and then knock on the door, 5 minutes. You're like, okay, you put your shoes on, walk off the bus with a cup of coffee that you made on the bus, on stage, get off stage, get back on the bus. Bus starts up. They get everything ready, having a few cocktails. Start watching the Fry Festival documentary. Everyone gets comfortable, gets in their pajamas, and then you drive through the night.
Pajamas?
Dude, it is the greatest thing in the fucking world. And
now, go ahead. Given that your image is on the side of the bus, are there fans pounding on it all the time?
Yeah, that has been problematic.
Yeah.
Segura said to me when I told him I was getting it wrapped, he was like, are you sure that's the greatest idea? I was like, why? And he goes, because won't everyone know where you are? And yeah. And my personality is like pretty much like I'm very approachable. So people just knock and like, I know Bert wants us to come in. And I'm and my buddy.
Do you have girls hit on you?
No.
Never?
I mean, maybe like drunk in passing, but not really. Not
knocking on the door.
No.
Putting on chapstick.
No. Not even remotely of that.
Because Pauly Shore still does the bus and still gets blowjobs like
I could totally
all the time.
I could totally see how that would be fun as fuck.
Where it's like it's a implicit understanding that you're going to get on the bus, perform oral sex, and then be on your way.
And we'll drop you off in the next city.
Yeah.
We had toyed with the idea, me and another. I won't point fingers. Me and another married comic was like just toying with the idea of like how great would that be to just be able to pick a couple girls who are fans, obviously, and they're going to want to hang out, and we all chill on the bus, and then we all have sex, and they're like, all right, we're in Indianapolis, time to send you home, and then you buy them 2 tickets home, and they're like, that was awesome. We just partied in the tour bus, and he flew us home.
Yeah.
It makes total fucking sense.
Yeah.
But then you think about losing your family, and you're like,
right.
It's so much easier to wake up with a clear conscience, I think, and go, I'm doing this for my family.
Yep. And then how often do you get hotel rooms?
Never.
Oh, you shower on the bus?
Shower in the venues. You can shower in the bus. You get like 6 showers per weekend on the bus.
Where do you poop?
Not on the bus.
Was that the rule?
Oh, yeah. And Leanne almost first night was like going to take a shit. And I was like, oh, you don't poop in the bus. And she was like, yeah, sure, right. And I'm like, no, you don't poop in the bus. And she's like, I know you're fucking with me. And I had to get the bus driver to tell her not to shit in the bus.
Yeah.
Because she didn't believe me. You don't
How
shit in
did
the
you
bus.
know she was about to shit? Did she have a magazine with her?
She wakes up in the morning, and the first thing she wakes up, she has a cup of coffee and goes to shit. And I was like, hey, if you have to shit, you got to tell Dean, and we'll pull over. And she's like, we're not stopping for me to shit. And I was like, no, we are. So we stopped in the middle of the Rockies in Banff, and just gorgeous. And she was like, this is the most beautiful shit I've ever taken in my life. It was gorgeous. But that's the coolest thing is like you get up in the morning, you like go up to the front, you open the front door, and you're like, where are we? And then he's like, take a look at this. And the first night that happened was in the Rockies. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
Our bus driver was taking pictures of it to send to his family.
Yeah.
But yeah, tour bus is the greatest thing I've ever done.
Dude, that's amazing. Congrats. You're at that level now. That's
all
a
downhill
huge
from
step
here.
for you.
No, you still got private jet, helicopter.
Yeah, you got all that.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to do private jet. I think that I was having a hard time with spending the money on the bus.
Yeah. But the way, like, I remember Louis C.K. talking about flying jets, and his whole theory was if he doesn't get the jet, he's not going to do as many dates. And the $10,000 it would cost to rent the jet versus the $50,000 he'd make on the gig, he was like, it sounds pretentious, but it's like, I wouldn't make that gig because it's connecting flights.
That makes sense.
And then you get spoiled and you go, well, now I'm just doing it all the time.
That makes sense. I know for in this tour, it wasn't cost effective when you were doing one show. So you do 1 Thursday, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday. But once you started doing 2 Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, it turned into a place of like you wouldn't get off stage until midnight. You wouldn't be done. You wouldn't be back in the hotel till 2 in the morning. You'd have to fly at 6 to get to the next venue.
Yeah.
And that was every single day. And I was just like, I was dreading it. And then when we got the tour bus, I don't dread stand up. I don't ever have a set where I'm like, ugh, I got a fucking awful day tomorrow.
And is it easy to sleep on the bus?
It's so easy.
Really?
It's better than in a bed.
Really?
It moves you, and I guess the rocking is kind of has like a Xanax effect of like, you know how, I don't know, you probably don't take Xanax, but like sometimes there's days when you wake up and you're like, I'm ready to go back to sleep. You're like, I'm not going back to sleep. I might as well just get up and start my fucking day. And then if you take a Xanax, you wake you up and you're like, I'm going to sleep for maybe like 3 more hours. And your eyes close and you wake up and you're like, it's noon. You're like, all right, I'll sleep till 2. And then you close your eyes again. I sleep till 2:45 every single day.
Wow.
Yeah, if the bus is driving.
Yeah.
If the bus is driving, I sleep till 2:45.
Talk to me about masturbation.
It's good. My door has a lock on it. I don't think anyone else can do it. But like I had to, like if you got to go through the bathroom and my door to get to my room. So yeah that's definite.
And you just bring in a wad of tissues?
I've been using this shirt. It was a panic moment.
13?
It was a panic moment where we needed it. It needed to happen. And there was a shirt there. And then I was like, the first time I didn't even have any lotion. And then I stopped and got lotion. And so I was like,
Wait, what kind of panic moment was it?
I just wanted to do it. And I was like,
It's a panic. I wanted to do it.
I wanted to do it. It was going to happen, and I needed something quick.
Okay.
I'm not going to compromise one of my towels. You only get a couple towels.
Yeah, no, that
so
makes
I was
sense.
like, yeah.
So did you watch porn on your phone?
Yeah, on my phone.
I've never once watched porn on my phone.
For real?
First of all, it just feels weird. I feel like my computer is a whore, you know? Actually, Mark Maron has a bit that's similar to that, so I have to say that. And my phone feels like it's all business. And also, my kids may check my phone.
Yeah.
Whereas my rule is nobody touches dad's fucking computer, period.
Oh. I have had porn up on my Safari on my phone before. And my daughter opened it, was like, oh my God.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I don't think she knew what she saw, but she saw it.
Yeah.
So wait, can you guys not masturbate without porn?
I don't. Yeah, no.
I don't think
Can't.
so.
Really?
I should try it. I should try, you call it barebacking or freestyling. I should try it once just to see if I have it in me.
Yeah, flex that muscle.
I don't think that I think it's been a very long time since I went.
Here's
there.
how I could do it. It would have to mean that like I'm writing on a TV show and there's a woman that I become flirty with. Because there's healthy flirtation when you're married.
Yeah.
And she's hot and I get within 10 feet of her. I think I could ride that into a masturbation session.
I would still look for someone that looked like her on porn.
Yeah.
There was one time that there was a woman that was extremely flirty with me, and she was redhead, and I'd never been attracted to redheads, but she had puffy nipples. And
Wait,
she was,
how do you know?
because she was wearing a dress that crossed like this, and she kept leaning down to talk to me, and I kept seeing them.
Wow.
And
obviously you can use that.
And I was like, I definitely was like, I think she was doing it and knew she was doing it, and she kept doing it to me. And at one point she put her leg like on my leg, like rubbed her leg on my leg, and I was like, oh my God. And so that night I was like, all right, Google redheads puffy nipples. Turns out there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole blogosphere set to it, and then they stopped letting blogs be porn.
Oh, Tumblr.
Really?
Yeah, there's a Tumblr.
Wait, are puffy nipples a redhead thing?
I don't know.
Yes, very much so.
Interesting.
I'd never even really seen them before, but this woman had them. It was a really interesting boob.
Yeah.
And then at one point we were eating lunch, and I could see in her, like her dress was out, and I could see them, and I was like, Jesus Christ, woman.
Damn.
I don't want to belabor the point, but what do puffy nipples look like?
It's an extended areola, and instead of a pencil eraser type nipple, it's more of a mound.
Okay.
Yeah, I said it once to someone, and she said, that's like prepubescent girls. And that is true. I think that when...
It's like that
there's
Led
like more
Zeppelin cover.
conical.
You
Yeah.
ever see the Led Zeppelin cover?
Which one?
That's I don't know I think it's Led Zeppelin 2, where there's a girl standing there naked. She's like probably 13.
Isn't that
And I
crazy?
can't fucking believe that was an album cover.
Isn't that crazy that was just like 20 years ago that was almost socially acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was ever socially acceptable, but I remember in 9th grade, my friend was dating a guy that was 24. She was in 9th grade. She was dating a dude that was 24 and her mom was cool with it.
No shit.
And I remember thinking, that's weird. Like, I remember like then going, that's weird. But then, you know, fucking Priscilla Presley was 13.
Yeah.
Priscilla Presley was 13 when Elvis met her.
That's right.
I loved Elvis and Me, both the movie and the book.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. Were there other underage girls, or was it just Priscilla?
Well,
Like,
the
was that
book
his
is just
thing?
about his relationship with Priscilla.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
But that was a true love, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he cheated on her?
I can't remember, but probably.
No. Maybe it was a poster.
Might be a poster.
What about you? Do you have? Do you need visual stimulation to?
I thought you were going to say, have you ever had sex with a 13-year-old? Wait, what's the oldest guy you've ever dated and the youngest you ever were?
Well, she was 21 when she had sex for the first
I
time.
guess, yeah.
So I was 20 and he was 27 or 28 at that point.
That's a big age difference.
That
Big
seemed
age
like a big
difference, yeah.
age difference, yeah. I made out with a coworker who was like 20 or 25 years older than I was. When I was in my 20s, he was like, I think I was like 25 and he was probably 45.
Wow.
But that was just kissing. I don't think that...
Would you have gone further?
No, it was someone that I had a crush on for a long time. I always liked older guys, and I had a crush on him for a while. And then when I was moving to New York, he sort of was all of a sudden interested in me, and like I wasn't interested in him anymore, really. So he walked me to my car. I think it was like, I don't know if it was a birthday party of mine or like a going away gathering or something. He walked me to my car and then we made out for a little while with the car. And I remember thinking, I'm not really into this. I think I was more into the fantasy of it than like the reality of it. 'Cause actually I remember he kind of, when I was still working there, he kind of, this is so inappropriate, kind of like, proposition to me is the wrong word, but like we were talking on the phone and he's like, you know, suggested that he come over, and I knew it was like just for sex.
Was he a boss?
No, we were like the same. He was more senior, but I didn't answer to him or anything like that. And even though this is someone that I had a crush on, I said no, because I said, like, think about how weird that's going to be to go to work the next day. And also, I think I lost a little bit of, like, the bloom came off the rose a little bit. The fact that he just wanted some, like, sleazy one-night stand thing, whereas I had, like, built him up in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. And now that I haven't thought about this in a long time, telling the whole story, especially in, like, the Me Too era, it all sounds so inappropriate. But I didn't feel pressured or anything like that. I just felt like, he's this guy that I had put on this pedestal as just kind of a sleazy dude.
See, that's what's interesting about this. I'm definitely not virtue signaling right now, but I will say I always had a weird, I think 'cause I had sisters, I had a weird thing where I could see the girl more as just a set of tits and ass. Sometimes, not all the times. But like I remember there was one time that this girl that won a wet t-shirt contest came back to party with us, and it was all guys, and all my friends were like, we should fuck her. And I remember thinking, she just wants to be cool. Like, I could have been wrong. I mean, she maybe just wanted to fuck everyone. She didn't. I ended up taking her home in a cab that night. But
And not going in with her.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
No one hooked up with her.
Protecting her.
No one, not. She was a little out of it. But I remember thinking, she just wants to be famous. She just wants to be cool. She wants us to like her. And the only way she knows how to do it is by showing her tits.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for her. And I was like, because I don't know, that type of female I've always empathized for, because I think there's part of me that connects with it. It's the same part. It's the reason all
to
this.
be liked.
Yeah. It's like wanting to be liked, and I would do stuff that made me feel degraded to get people to like me.
Yeah.
And so I always empathize with those women. And I dated a girl when I was 18. When I was 18, I dated a girl that was 15. I was a senior. She was a sophomore, and I never had sex with her. but I in a weird way, I just thought, I think that's an irresponsible thing to do. Also, let me be fair. That is hardcore virtual signaling. I was not good at sex, and I was terrified to have sex again. It was not because of her age. It was because I was really bad at sex, and my first time kind of traumatized me, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for it. And then by the time that we would be ready to have sex, I was going to college, and that's when I thought it would be irresponsible to take her virginity and then go to college. Yeah. So I was like, I should just not do that to her.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I was the opposite. I was into older women.
Really?
That was the opposite. I used to when I was 19, I went out to the Hamptons with my brother and another buddy, and we stayed in this little condo. There was a pool, and it had like 3 little condos on it. And ours was a 1-bedroom, and it had so many fleas in it that our bodies were covered in welts the whole summer. And there was a pull-out couch in the living room. Whoever got home first went into the bedroom and locked the door so they could have the bed themselves. The other 2 guys were on a fucking fold-out couch together. But next door was a 2-bedroom condo that was pristine. And these 2 women, the Palumbo sisters from Queens, used to come out on the weekends.
Names.
And one was a hairdresser. And the other one was a corporate lawyer. She was a high-end corporate lawyer. And she turned 40 that summer, and I was 19. And we started dating each other. And they'd come out like on a Friday, and they'd make a big dinner because they were real hardcore Italian Guido chicks. Oh. And they were the greatest girls. They'd make a big dinner. And me and my brother and this guy, Sean, who was from Northern Ireland, we'd go over there, and they had a fucking stocked bar with good liquor.
Oh my God, and put me in a fucking time machine.
And we would have sex. And then Sunday night, they would cook all weekend. And then Sunday night, they would drive back to the city, and they would just take all the leftover food and put it in Tupperware, and we'd bring it back to our hovel, and we'd try to survive on it till they came back the next Friday. And then one weekend, she shows up, and she's dating an appropriately aged guy. Mm-hmm. He's like 50. I remember he had like graying hair.
Yeah.
And they sat at the pool, and he was reading the New York Times, and then with the paper over his face, I just kept pulling out my dick and smiling at her like, you want this.
It's an interesting time in that everything is so black and white.
Yeah.
That it's this. And then that, mute R. Kelly, mute Michael Jackson, like, and we didn't see it. Like, we didn't see it when it was happening.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that he was married to Aaliyah and going, wait, how old's Aaliyah?
Right.
And they're like, oh, she's 15. And I was like, that seems young. But then in my head, I was like, well, that one girl dated that older guy. I guess that's how it works.
Yeah.
Like, I got her parents have to have met him. Like, they have to have signed something to say they can get married.
Yeah.
But now it's so black and white. It's just like now obviously you hear that story and you're like, wow, that woman was a predator. You were 19. Well, you couldn't have known what you were doing. Like, and you're like, no, she was just.
No, she was beautiful, and we were friends. We stayed friends for years after that. Yeah.
Who was dating the hairdresser Palumbo?
My brother, who's older than me, was dating the younger sister, and I was dating the older one. And I remember we went to the New York Film Festival. She was, very fucking, very sophisticated. And she brought me to the New York Film Festival. And there was a Marcello Mastroianni film playing, and we got onto the escalator to go upstairs, and Bill Murray was standing. I got my Bill, there's that documentary about Bill Murray. Yeah. Here's my Bill Murray story. So he's on the escalator one step ahead of me, and he's my God. To this day, there's nobody that means
without
as
a doubt.
much. And so I say to him, I go, excuse me, Mr. Murray, will you sign my ticket? And he just looks at me, he does that thing where he raises his eyebrows, and he goes, do you have a pen? And I was like frozen. I was like, fuck, I don't have a pen. So he grabs it out of my hand, puts it in his mouth, and he chomps down on it and leaves his teeth marks. And he goes, that ought to get you back in again. And then just walk. And then we're at the top of the escalator and he just walked away.
Oh,
and
wow.
to this day, I have that ticket stub.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so great. She took you to the New York Film Festival?
Yeah.
See, now that's called grooming. She was grooming you.
Yeah, she bought me a suit, tight-fitting suit.
She's grooming you.
Expensive haircut.
I don't know if I could date. I was toying with this joke on stage, but I go, I don't want to date a 25-year-old, but I wouldn't mind having one around just to impress her. Like,
yeah.
My wife just doesn't get impressed by anything.
Right.
Yes.
Like,
I don't really worry about my husband ever cheating. However, if if it were to happen, it would happen because it would be like someone at work who's like, oh my God, your spreadsheets are amazing. Or like all the things.
That happens a lot.
You know, like all the things, because like I don't do that stuff anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to impress a wife.
Yeah.
They just,
Yeah, you want some young girl from like a small town in the Midwest.
Right. Like,
And then
oh my God, you've made it in LA for so long.
you
oh
know
my God,
Nick Swartzen?
You want someone that hears $1 million and goes, $1 million, as opposed to we only keep half of it.
Right.
It's not really $1 million, honey. It's
Right.
not really $1 million. I would. I think my wife, if she cheated on someone, she would cheat on someone who, like, I'm too emotional, and she'd cheat on someone that was just dead inside.
man.
Like,
Like a
yeah, a man
cowboy.
who was like, hey, why don't you go fucking clean yourself up in there,
Yeah.
bitch?
Right.
Like, as opposed to, do you want me to help shave for you? Do you need some help?
Which would make you feel like even more of a cuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I am a hardcore cuck. It was so weird when that whole thing cuck came out. I kind of was like, oh, yeah, I'm a cuck. Like in my head, like I've been cheated on, and I definitely am too sensitive, and like all the things that. And then everyone's like, that's an insult, and I was like, wait, why does it have to be an insult? Like
Yeah.
I just was one my whole fucking life. I've been cheated on. I've been cheated on 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's because you only have sex for 3 minutes.
Well, that's one of the reasons.
They're looking for the other 27 minutes for somebody.
They're looking for something. I think I was like, what about all the extracurriculars? Those don't count. Like, I'm a good guy. I don't hit you. I don't call you a dumb whore. I don't spit in your mouth during sex.
Nope.
No, that women. I don't know what women want anymore. I'm not gonna fucking speak for women.
But when you have sex and it lasts, what is the range of minutes that it lasts?
Oh, I mean, it's been mind-blowingly short at times.
What's the most you've ever lasted?
Oh, I've lasted a long time. But sometimes if I get too drunk, I can't have an orgasm.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating. And then even when I do, it's not even satisfying. It's just
Right.
like my dick's like, fine. There, is that what you wanted? Yeah.
Begrudgingly coming.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, usually like we had sex the other night and it happened extremely quick. Yeah. Like right when I came off the road, she was like, I sent the girls to go get prom dresses. I figured this is what you needed. And I was like, oh. And it was pretty rapid.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand, like part of me goes, what am I supposed to do?
Are you
Like-
supposed to go again?
Oh.
It doesn't work if you try it again?
No, it's just not my wife. My wife's like, I don't think my wife's really into sex as much as I am.
Yeah.
I think she does it for us to keep us together. But if you said to my wife, like, oh, Bert will never be able to have sex again, she'd be like, okay, cool. She'd be like, oh, we'll get to know
Can he
each other.
still tour?
Can he still tour? Does that going to affect his bank account at all? Yeah, I don't think my wife would give 2 fucks. I could be over exaggerating, but I just don't think it's not where her head's at.
Yeah.
Like she's more like if you said Bert will never be have sex, and then adversely you guys probably won't be able to look at properties on Zillow. She'd be like, huh? What? We can't look at properties on Zillow? Yeah, but which I kind of wish I had met the girl that was like sexually adventurous.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, yeah, I'm just not that person anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It
oh.
can come back though, like, you know, when you have kids that are your kids' ages, it's just nobody's doing a lot of fucking.
Yeah.
And it can, like, now that my kids are older, like, there's been a huge renaissance.
Really?
Yeah. It's really and it's a really healthy, I think we communicate more about it. I think we have a better sex life in a lot of ways than we ever did.
Really? I would, for us, it's if Leanne loses weight. Like, she's not overweight, but if she starts losing weight and feels better about herself, then, and myself too, if I start losing weight, you can tell that you go, oh, so you also weren't attracted to me.
Yeah.
And then she's like right now she just lost like 5 pounds, and I can tell the difference. Definitely naked. And she's more confident. I think that has to do with it.
Yeah, as someone trapped in a gigantic pregnant body, I can say that like body fluctuations totally affect how sexual you feel.
Really?
Yeah. Like I don't even want to see myself in the shower. I actually can't see myself in the shower.
By the way, I feel that way too about myself.
I was thinking about you today when I was clipping my toenails.
Oh, thank you.
But I was wondering, can you clip your toenails, or do
No.
you need Danielle to
No.
help you?
I need Daniel to help me with even like putting my shoes on, and it's gotten to the point now where putting my underwear on, I would prefer to have him help me because it's hard to like bend down and get my foot in. And this is just the very end. Sorry, I keep adjusting this because I'm trying to get comfortable. The very end of pregnancy is just extremely uncomfortable. And I remember it happening.
By the way, that's how I feel every evening. I feel like a pregnant person. Last night I undid my pants and my belt and just sat there going, fuck, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking horrible.
Don't you just want to sit there in compression socks and a nightgown?
No, oh, by the way, my ankles are swollen. If I fly on a Sunday, my ankles are so swollen that I get in my pool and just to like unswell my body.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, when I fly, I've been getting swollen. When I fly, I was just bloated because I drink on planes and you eat everything salty as fuck on a plane.
Yeah.
And then you get off and my wedding ring is fucking, now it comes off. But man, I've had it where I had to put the string underneath it and wrap it around. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. No, I've never done it, but I've heard of that being a way to get your ring off.
Yeah, I've had to do that before in fucking Africa. I had to fucking, it was giving me a panic attack. Right now it's okay. But
by the way, I love that Alison was just like complaining about the throes of the final stages of pregnancy, and you hijacked it about how fat you are.
And then all the parallels. What if I started doing a bit about being pregnant?
Oh,
I go,
you
guys,
should.
ladies. I know you've been through pregnancy, but I'm going through it right now. Just close your eyes and pretend it's a female's voice. All the things are the same.
I'm a third trimester for 10 years.
I can't shave my balls anymore. I can't reach. It's a bunch of guesswork.
My wife clips my toenails.
Oh, my wife won't clip my toenails. Keep going.
Yeah.
Do you want to just be seated all the time? Like, does the idea of getting up and going across the room and like organizing your kids' toys if you had a toddler sound like hell?
No.
Okay.
No, mine is just the uncomfortableness of right now I'm riding this fine line of overeating and not overeating. I'm trying to eat healthy, but I'm going through this real insatiable thing with everything. And I've got a fucking thing coming up, a physical. And so I'm trying to be healthy for the physical.
Have you tried the morning fasting thing? I hear that's really effective.
Intermittent fasting?
It is until you get to lunch and you're like, fucking let's party.
Yeah.
Who wants to fuck this mouth? Oh, this cheeseburger wants to fuck this mouth. Nachos want to fuck this mouth. Yeah, I've been intermittently fasting, but I don't know. I haven't weighed myself in a little bit. I got a sponsor called Withings. It's a great scale.
Have you ever done keto?
I've done everything. There's too much stuff out there.
Yeah.
It's my only critique of Rogan's podcast. It's my favorite podcast in the world. But I get so much information thrown at me that I think I'm literally, it's almost like imagine if you were trying to defuse a bomb and it's like, cut the blue wire, cut the gray wire, cut the green. I've cut every fucking wire and none of it's working. The one thing this girl, Ali Spagnola, said, she has a workout vlog. She just said something that was so simple to me the other day was, you can't outrun a bad diet. And I think for me, it is impulse control. Mm-hmm. Like I went to the fucking movies with the girls last night and my daughters are fucking horrible at it. They're like, should we get a pizza? I was like, definitely, yeah, we get a pizza. I was not going to get a pizza, but I'm like, well, they want a pizza, we'll get a pizza. And they're like, does mom want anything? Because Leanne's getting the seats. I was like, well, we're going to get a large popcorn. I'll get 2 hot dogs, the pizza. Do you guys want to get nachos? Do you want those pico sticks?
Really?
And I got so much fucking food that in the middle of the movie, I'm uncomfortable. I'm literally burping up fucking relish and mustard because Leanne didn't want her hot dogs, so I ate both of them.
So it's one of those theaters where you have a table to eat?
No, Greg.
Just a regular...
I'm doing it all in my lap like I'm on a bus. I'm doing it all in my lap. I was eating so much food that the guy in front of me turned around to see if I was done yet. And I was like, I haven't even started the popcorn, Captain. I fucking was murdering food.
Oh God!
I can't help. And then sometimes I get to this place where I'm like, fuck it. I just go, fuck it. Like the best is eating with Ari because Ari cooks like a 19-year-old still. So like the last day there when we were skiing, Ari goes, "Don't worry, guys, I'm making dinner." And we're like, "Oh, cool." We're like, "What's for dinner?" And he goes, "Baked potatoes." And I was like, and he goes, "Just baked potatoes. If you guys want to heat anything else up, that's fine." He just made, and by the way, they weren't even big. They were the size of like kumquats. They were like tiny fucking baked potatoes, and all he had for him was butter and cheese. And I go, should we do some bacon? He goes, bacon would be nice. So then we put, and then in the middle of it, and it's so endearing because you see it like the first time you were 18 and you cooked dinner, food, not dinner, but food for your friends. You're like, not bad, huh, guys? living life, and all we're eating is baked potatoes. And I was like, I usually put Wagyu steak with this, but yeah. And then that night I was fucking. We went to, this is hardcore secret time. Please don't share this with the Segura. He would fucking lose his shit over this. We were coming back from the club, Wise Guys. So we did 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. And Friday night we're coming back. They got
wait, this is during the vacation?
During the vacation we did 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday to do stand up. To deficit fund the vacation.
Okay.
And then we all got a paycheck. So it was a free vacation, and then we all got a little money. So we skied, and no one paid for anything, and then we all got some money. And so on the ride back, we're all high, and Ari's like, someone's like, should we get tacos? There's a Del Taco, and I was like, yeah, I'm very much a control freak about this because I've been on the road so much with Travel Channel, with stand up, that some of these guys, I'm not saying, I don't mean this down, but they're like, they haven't been on the road as much as I have. So I go, let me just take care of this. I know how this should work, and I know how you want this to work, but I know what you're thinking how it's going to work. So we put up the Del Taco. The guy's name was Hassan. That was our driver. I said, Hassan, just tell them I want $100 worth of food and surprise me. And they were like, okay. So he goes, $100, and they're all losing their mind. Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Man, they will tell you, this was the best $100 I ever spent. I tipped the guy, because they really gave us like a broad spectrum of what Del Taco had. They gave us like 5. I told them we have 6 people in here. Give us 6 of everything. So they just gave us 6 of a bunch of different things. Yeah. So we all got like a breakfast burrito, a shrimp burrito. Like it was fucking out of this. Some quesadillas, some French fries, and then I tipped the guy $20. I go, great job. Here's an extra 20. And the Hassan, our driver, goes, big boss man tipped him $20. I never seen nothing like this in my life. Big boss man tipped him $20. Who tips a Taco Bell guy? Big boss man does. That's who. And we got in and we fucking destroyed Del Taco that night and for breakfast the next morning. And every one of them was like, big boss man, good call on the $100.
Big boss man.
I've done that. I'd love, one of my favorite things to do is, especially when you're with the younger comics and you pull up to like, just go, I'll take $100 worth of burgers. And you just see a comic go, huh? Yeah. And you're like, oh, we're fucking up burgers for the whole weekend.
That was our episode when we did Eating with Bert. Cooking with Bert? What's the name of your show?
Yeah, Cooking with
Bert. We did Del Taco.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the fight I got into Doug Benson with.
What?
I got into a knockdown, drag out fight with Doug Benson a while ago. I bought $200 worth of cheeseburgers and showed up to Doug Loves Movies, and he did not find it as humorous as I did. And it was
you showed up with it and gave it out to the people in the theater.
Cheeseburgers, and I was going to give them out to everyone.
Yeah.
And he was really not having it, and
he just thought it was a distraction from the show.
It was definitely a distraction from the show.
Yeah.
He didn't want everyone just eating cheeseburgers the whole show.
And they're all high, so they're getting fixated on the burgers. I didn't think about this
at all.
Yeah.
And Doug definitely thought it through. And we had a bad fight on stage. On stage, it was really uncomfortable. But then he stayed the next night, and I think the next night even, and the staff had kept all the cheeseburgers in the freezer.
Where was this?
This is at St. Louis Helium.
Oh, and you were working together. We
did Doug Loves Movies on Thursday. I was doing Friday, Saturday. Doug Loves Movies Wednesday, and then he stayed Friday, Saturday. And on Saturday night, we brought all the cheeseburgers out to my crowd, and they heated them up, and they gave everyone cheeseburgers. And at the end of the night, Doug is like, these cheeseburgers are a great idea. He was like, not for my show, but for your show. And then me and him ended up signing a cheeseburger wrapper together and putting it on the wall. But I love that. I love that when you go like, I'm not saying that $100 isn't a lot of money, but just go, let's just buy everyone's cheeseburgers. Mm-hmm. Such a boss move, and like that it's not that much out of pocket. Mm-hmm. You know, meaning like risk versus reward, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of jobs where they, employee of the month gets a fucking clock radio and people lose their shit.
Yeah.
They work harder for some little treat. I used to do audience warm up, and the shit people would do to get a t-shirt thrown at them. It was crazy.
Who did you do warm up for?
Well, my first job ever was I worked for Bill Maher, Politically Incorrect in New York, and I did audience warm up, which was hard because he wanted like, political. I used to do more political stand up, and so he wanted like smart political stand up for his crowd, and so I always felt very judged by him, because I just wanted to throw out T-shirts and be a jackass. So I had to do smart comedy, but then I got hired as my first writing job. Is he liked my stand up enough that he hired me as a writer on the show?
Really?
Yeah.
Your stand-up's been always kind of undeniable.
Oh, thanks, man.
No, but we were talking. I told you we were talking about that this weekend. It's interesting to see who comics won't shit on.
Yeah.
Who are untouchable. Where no one's going to be the first one. Talking shit about comics is an interesting art form. It's a lot like playing Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em. Is you don't want to show your cards. And if someone goes, "Oh, fuck that guy," and they don't have a good reason, and a lot of people don't agree with them, then you look like an asshole. Everyone's like, "Well, actually, he's a really good guy."
Yeah.
And there's a few guys that just no one's willing to turn their cards over on. And then there's some guys that everyone's like, "Oh, I'll flip him over right now."
Yeah.
And just be like, "Fuck that guy."
Although I've found that the people that used to get shit on a lot, like Carrot Top or Dane Cook,
They
like
get shit on less.
They get shit on way less because I think people realize, oh no, they're fucking journeymen.
Yeah.
And they're killer performers, and they are doing it the way they want to do it. And I think I've always thought Dane was a really good comedian. And Carrot Top is, because he uses props, we should shit on him?
Yeah.
Why? There's millions of people that fucking love what he does. He gets off on it. It's what he's into. What's the problem?
Yeah.
To me, it's about, because we talked earlier about one comic who's a thief. That's the guy you want to shit on. Or the person who's disingenuous, like, I don't know. To me, I don't like the guy that goes up and just gives the audience what they want. You don't see an expression of the person who they really are. Like your special was just, here's fucking Bert Kreischer, the raw sewage of Bert Kreischer. You just put yourself out there, and it's a cult of personality, and it's a guy who's done stand-up long enough that he's in control of a crowd for an hour. Like, that's what it should be. Yeah. Not like, I don't want to say the comic, but somebody did a special, and they focus grouped it.
Oh, really?
They brought in people to fill out questionnaires about the material so he could choose which material to do in the special.
You know, it's so funny. We actually talked about that. We were getting off the ski lift on High Meadow, and we were talking about it that night. I used you as an example as they were coming off the ski lift because they were behind us talking. We could hear them, and they were like, "What are you supposed to say to your friend, like when he's a little bit of a hack, and like are you supposed to correct him?" And I said to you a long time ago, I said, "I wish I could pay you to direct my special, but just kind of help me like do my special, like figure it out." And then you said something that I've held on to hard as fuck. You were like, "No, I could totally do that. I definitely can do that. I've done that before. I can definitely help you. You don't even have to pay me." But that also doesn't show everyone what you can do. Like part of what stand-up is what you can do. Let's see you do all your tricks,
right?
As opposed to a comic going, "Oh, let me fix your tricks for you,
and
show you how to do them." And they were like, "Oh, that's fucking genius." I was like, "Yeah, one of the coolest things about stand-up and untouched stand-up, meaning like stand-up where this is just me. I wrote this joke. I wrote all the punches, all the tags, all the act outs. Of course, other comics saw me and maybe gave me an insight that I didn't get." But like this is the best trick. If it was gymnastics, this is no steroids. This is just the best tricks I can do.
Yeah, even less so with gymnastics because you had a coach.
Yeah.
Like with us, I do feel like at times I wish I could bring somebody in to just go to point out the shit that I'm just not seeing. But you don't, because it's like there's most comedians, and people always want to say like all comedians are X, Y, or Z. They're all depressed or whatever. But I do think it's true that we're all extremely self-sufficient, that we don't look for people to coach us or help us.
Yeah.
We resent it. Most of us could not hold down normal jobs because for whatever reason, whether you had ADHD or compulsive disorder, whatever it is, or your child, and it could be a million reasons, but the personality I see most typical is a need to be left alone and do it your own way.
I couldn't take notes. Like if someone gives me a tag, I shy away from it because I go, "Ooh,
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you who's the greatest at it. The greatest comic, in my opinion, to work with if you want to help your act, but you want to do it yourself. This is going to sound like a big statement is Shane Torres. You know
Don't
Shane?
know.
Shane Torres has toured with me. We just did a run, and he's really great at allowing you. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or on accident. It's just the way he gives you notes. He doesn't want to write your act for you, so he's like at one point he goes, "Yeah, is there a reason you didn't put jokes in that part?" and I go, "Huh?" And he's like, "Oh, I mean, you could like fill that up with jokes, and then that would be funnier." And I was like,
As a comedian,
yeah. And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and it was like I was doing this list. I was doing a list, but I was just doing the list. I didn't have it. It wasn't funny.
Yeah.
And like for me, the list, I don't know. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I could put jokes there." He's really good at that. And he's like giving you a tag that is just like like kind of leading you there. He doesn't want, but I've taken tags from him. Mark Norman, the only people I've really taken tags from. But he's really great at that. And that's what I want as another comic to be like, "Hey, I see what you're doing. You're leaving this part out,
right.
Or you're telling me a bunch of shit I don't need to know."
Well, especially a comic like you, because as a storyteller, how do you get rid of the stuff that isn't really the narrative of the story? That it might be a detail.
It takes a while.
And it's extraneous. You don't realize it's extraneous all the time.
I have this bit that I'm doing. I have 2 bits that I'm doing right now about taking care of my own kids, taking care of my kids when my wife went to Vietnam. And there was so much meat to it that did not need to be there. That was just, it was like, get to the thing I think is funny and then allow myself to just get from A to B to C and then get there. And then once you get there and you've been there for a while, then you can start filling that meat up.
Right.
But like for me, I will get so caught up in stuff that does not fucking matter. Or like this list, my wife left me a list of how the house should be run, and I was reading it. I was just doing the list. Like, there was no joke in it. It was just a list. And I thought the fact that it was so detailed was a joke. And Shane was like, "Wouldn't it be funny if there were like jokes inside there?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." If that led to something, I was like, "Oh, I didn't even see that." Or like me and you were talking about Renazizi's story, and it's just simply saying, "I don't need to hear that."
Yeah,
that's all you need. Sometimes is, I know that you think it's important, but I'm telling you as an audience member, I'll tell you what I want to hear, and that is so fucking valuable in a story. Is I'll tell you what, or just going to like Ryan O'Neal was telling a story this weekend. And he said, I don't know, my family was a little fucked up. And I was like, how so? And he just said it. He would never have said it on stage that way. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? He was like, is that funny? And you're like, it's like, one time I was doing the stand up on the spot with Jeremiah upstairs.
Yeah.
And Rogan and Skura in the back. And some person in the front goes, I goes, what subjects do you want to talk about next? Someone goes, Anne Frank. And I go, I used to think Anne Frank and Helen Keller were the same person. And fucking Rogan lost it. He's like, please tell me that's a bit. And I was like, no, I had no clue.
That's
like I thought we all did.
Premise. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I could, having been with those guys all week, I could talk about. I'm like obsessed again.
Yeah. So I saw Ari had his shirt off skiing. Did he do that, or did he just take it off for the photo?
He just took it off for the photo.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's so interesting of a guy. Because a child said, why is your shirt off? And as opposed to being kind to him, Ari just goes, sun's out, guns out, to a child. And the child's like, okay. Sun's out, guns out. Ari's a really interesting fucking human being. Having spent that much time with him, there's a really soft side to him, but there's also not. Like, there's just a really like, huh?
I know.
I'll do it my way.
Yeah. And he'll insult you.
Oh,
without thinking twice about it, not feel bad about it, and kind of, and it at first it hits you, and you're like, whoa, and then it doesn't bother you because you realize, oh, this is just a guy who has in his life committed to being honest, whether it's in business dealings, he's generous to a fault. Like, he's the only guy, like, if he does a stand-up show and asks you to be on it, he'll pay you.
Oh,
if he asks you to be on his podcast, he pays you.
Yeah.
Tips the fuck out of everybody. His money is just, he sees it as like, it should all be shared. Mm-hmm. Like when we did that, you must have done his show, This Is Not Happening? Yeah. He paid everybody, you know, Comedy Central paid everybody. And then he gave everybody, I'm not going to say what the bonus gift was, but it was a very lavish
Did you get
bonus.
mushrooms?
Yeah.
I got mushrooms.
Yeah.
Wait, how
And then
much
he gave
is-
me an extra pack and he said, give these to Leanne.
Yeah, he
Leanne-
gave me an
yeah.
extra one for my
Yeah.
wife. And then we went to the desert the next weekend and had a blast.
He's a very interesting guy in that way. Like at the end, like obviously people give him drugs non-fucking stop. And then at the end of the weekend, he brings the whole staff together. He goes, all right, guys, it's drug sharing time. Break them up, split them up. Everyone take them. I can't take them with her. And he just, but yeah, he paid all of us this weekend. He is very,
He paid you guys?
he paid all of us. We all got like an extra chunk of change.
Oh, because it was his gig
It was his gig.
in Salt Lake City.
But yeah, and so it sold out. So and he got 100% of the door. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but fuck it. He got 100% of the door, but it was a buyout. It was a straight buyout. So he got the room for the weekend, and he brought in a bunch of comics, and then he paid for everyone's ski passes, everyone's ski rentals, everyone's flights out. He paid for the Airbnb.
No
and then,
shit.
And then he paid. Gave everyone a couple thousand, few $1,000.
Really?
and
Yeah.
potatoes.
And potatoes.
And potatoes.
And potatoes. But like we went out to dinner. I bought dinner a couple nights. Renazizi bought dinner one night. I think Ari bought dinner one night. We went out to like really like $500 dinners for the group, which isn't too bad.
In Salt Lake City?
In Salt Lake City, yeah. No, in Park City.
Oh, because Salt Lake City's only how far?
30 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then I went, okay, so I'm in Salt Lake City in like in a month. I was like, oh, I'm going to stay in Park City and go skiing. And then go in and drive in and do my shows and then go back to Park City and go skiing. Because it's so much easier to wake up and go skiing than it is to wake up in Salt Lake City, get yourself out to Park City, ski, then come back. And then,
Right.
So, yeah, Ari is a really fast. Everyone that went was really, you know, it's you find the thing that's fucked up in them because they're comics, but then you find the thing that they're trying to fix in them, and you're like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I can't go into detail on people's dads, but we ended up talking about our dads one night,
Yeah.
and everyone was talking about what it's like. A couple people were talking about what it's like to be with very strict dads and dads that would fly off the handle.
Yeah.
And I never had a dad that would fly off the handle. My dad was pretty dialed in, pretty level, like physically. But they were like saying, oh, when you have a dad that fucking loses it, you never feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, really? And they're like, oh. Just little things like watching the waiter come up and approach a table the way that they've seen a waiter approach a table the wrong way and going, oh, let me get in front of this for you.
Dude, that was my childhood.
For real?
My dad berated more waiters in front of us. It was humiliating. And then gas station, back when there were gas station attendants, I can remember once he pulled out, I guess he'd paid, and the guy hadn't pulled out the nozzle yet, and my dad pulled away and yanked the nozzle out and then stood there screaming at the guy for 5 minutes. It was his fucking fault. And so a lot of times it was his fault.
Yeah.
But he had such an explosive temper that it really, absolutely, live in fear. And I think it's why I'm so aggressive also, is watching that behavior and also not trusting the world and feeling threatened by the world. So I feel like I have to counter that.
Do you think that your relationship, do you think that a boy's relationship with his dad is the same as a girl's relationship with her dad? Or is it a girl's relationship with her mother?
That is more important, or
Well, no, it's like in us talking about our fathers and the way our like I'll never feel certain with my decision because my dad
Right.
always made me I mean to this day, if I tell my dad this is what I'm thinking about doing, my dad immediately goes to the other side. It's almost like hanging out with Bert. Like,
Yeah,
you tell
right.
Bert something and he always argues the other side of it. That's why I fucking like hanging out with Bert. It's like hanging out with my dad.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
it's our relationship with our dad is informed us such as men, or the reason it's defined us.
right? Well,
But
see, the
our moms didn't do that to us. Is that with your dad or with your mom? What informed you the most?
my dad.
Really?
I'm relating to everything you guys are saying. I
Really?
have the like parents or the dad with the explosive temper, the like wanting to just crawl under the table at a restaurant because my parents are being such dicks to the servers. But unlike Greg, where it made you more aggressive, it has made me more empathetic, and like I always I always imagine what it's like to be on the receiving end of that kind of energy. So I think for a long time it made me more meek because I didn't want to repeat it. I didn't want to be my parents. And then I also relate a lot to what you're saying about not trusting your own opinion. It's like, so I used to do a lot of TV appearances, and I would go on and I was sort of like a talking head for a period of time and talk about various things. And sometimes ahead of time, I would talk to my dad about the topics, especially if it was politics.
Oh, wow.
And
wow, this is fucking awesome.
I asked him, because I felt he was more informed. So I would like turn to him for, can you just give me like what's the 5-minute back or less than that background on this? But I would say, please don't give me your opinion, because inevitably it will just come out of my mouth. Because that's what I would find. All of a sudden I'm in a live television setting, and all of a sudden I'm like saying something that I heard my dad say. And it's like, that's not even what I think. It's just like, it feels automatic.
Yeah. And it feels safe too. You feel like, well, it's almost like the way, I keep saying liberals, but either side, conservative or liberals, when they state their opinions, like if you don't recognize cisgendered, multicultural, bilateral, then I hate you, and they can stand by that and they can go to bed with that because what they've said is right technically, and that they stand with their laurels.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, so I had Kelly Carlin, George Carlin's daughter, on my podcast. I've had her a few times, and she and I were talking a lot about the effect. I mean, obviously very different dads. Like my dad was not in the public eye, but growing up with a larger than life father, it really can mess you up. And because it, like what you're saying, it doesn't create space for you to form your own identity and your own ideas. And like, even as an adult, you're still thinking like, well, what would my dad think about that? And you shouldn't be. Like, that shouldn't be sitting on you when you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s. And she was talking about, I think she was working on a book called Untangling Daughterhood. So I think it's less about whether you're a son or a daughter. And I think it's more just if you have a parent that's larger than life with a really strong personality.
That doesn't leave space for you.
Yeah, like that's
like
something
me.
I've
like
said.
Like me.
Well, are you that guy?
Really bad. Like really bad, and I didn't know it. And I once said to the girls, do I ever embarrass? Or no, what's it like having me as a father? And Georgia goes, it can be really embarrassing. And I'm like, really? And she goes, oh, yeah. Like it's not easy. And I went, hold on. Is it bad? And she goes, no, it's not bad, but it's just at times you're just like, why is he doing this? Like, I just want to skate through life. I'm talking about this in my act right now, but like there was an incident that if you follow my Instagram, you would know about. I got into an auction at Georgia school when she was on choir, and she was on stage, and they were auctioning off a snow machine, and I was definitely Bert in that moment where I like the biddings at like fucking $80, and I just stood up and I go $500.
Oh,
and the fucking room loses it, right? and then another fucking junkie dad in the back's like, oh, I'm bored as fuck too. Let's do this, asshole. And he's like $600, and then I had Isla stand up and go $700, and so it just got out of control. And at the end, we got into the car, and I remember I didn't even look at Georgia. Georgia was on stage. She was on stage at the moment. And I wasn't even looking at George. I was so in me. And Isla and I were just loving it. And Leanne was like, she was appalled. She was like,
Georgia will never be happy in snow for the rest of her life. It's gonna be like her rosebud.
Yeah. But to have your dad inform your opinion is so interesting. The day that Anthony Cumia got fired from SiriusXM, I was at my dad's beach house down in Clearwater. And my dad goes, this fucking idiot. Do you know this fucking idiot? And I go, I do. And he goes, what's he like? He's got to be a fucking cocksucker. I go, no, he's actually a really nice guy. He's a nice guy. And my dad goes, he's a fucking moron. And I was like, well, really? And he goes, yeah. Has nothing to do with fucking color or skin. Violence is just poor people. That's poor people behavior. Poor white people beat each other up. Poor black people beat each other up. Poor rich white people beat each other up. It's just it's socioeconomic. That's what he meant to say. Socioeconomic. I fucking hung my hat on that goddamn socioeconomic speech for so long, and I've gotten in so many arguments with people where you go, it's socioeconomic. Yeah. But yeah, as soon as you hear your dad say something, you go, well, that's now my opinion.
Yeah,
I'd call my dad up all the time and go, so tell me about this, what's going on with the Russia thing, you know? And my dad would go, fucking give me his opinion. And I go, that's mine.
Just absorb it. Well,
yeah,
did you find
it feels automatic. Like it almost feels like issuing a command to a dog, you know? Like I don't want to absorb your opinion. I don't want to. It's just like so ingrained.
Did you go through a period, because when you have a dad like that, and I went through this, where you had to detach so you could like get your own feet on the ground?
Yeah. Yes. And it was somewhat recent. I mean, it was like within the, well, I moved, so my parents are in Southern California. I moved to New York and I was there for 9 years, and that was really good for me. And I feel like I did, you know, I was in therapy there, and I really sort of came into my own, for lack of a better word, there. And then again, when I came back out here, I'd say like within the last, let's see, I came back here 8 or 9 years ago. So within the last 8 or 9 years, I think there's been more. Like there's been more separation too. I got married and had a kid and all that stuff. But still, as a figure, my dad still looms really large. Like I told this story on my podcast with Kelly Carlin, but I don't do a ton of political tweets, but I just, every now and then, like, it just gets so bad right now that I feel like I've just got to say something. And so I said something negative about Trump, and then people responded, and I was just like, I'm more ornery when I'm pregnant. So I got into it with a few people, and it's so stupid. Like, it's, you know, I'm arguing with someone who has like 30 followers and is never going to see things the way I see things. So why am I spending time doing it? And my dad sent me this email that was like, you know, it's really not worth it. You're never going to change anyone's mind. It's really not worth it to get into someone. And I worry that it could make someone want to harm you, which that is where he and I see the world differently in that way. I've mentioned on Childish, like, my dad's very overprotective. He's very anxiety prone. He's older.
Can my dad meet your dad?
Are they the same person?
Identical, fucking identical. My dad's very anxiety prone. We call him. He's a catastrophe thinker.
Yes, that's my dad. He's retired now, but he was a doctor, so everything's worst case scenario. Like, everything's always worst case scenario.
Put the fucking knives point sharp down in the fucking dishwasher.
Yeah.
One of your idiot kids is gonna come in and fucking stigmata themselves because you're fucking leaving the points up.
Yes, totally, 100%, like that all the time. So I feel like I'm being irresponsible if I'm not constantly thinking about everything bad that could happen. So anyway, he sees the world as like, the whole point of being alive is to never get hurt, basically, like never put yourself in harm's way. And I just feel like you don't understand. Like, everyone's shooting their mouth off on Twitter. No one's going to want to harm me. It's not like that. And I don't want to be afraid like that. And so here's a situation where I agree with you. There's no point in getting into it on Twitter. I disagree with you that I'm taking a risk by voicing my opinion. However, I deleted the tweet.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, why did I delete it? Because my dad wanted me to, I think.
Yeah, my dad was there was no fucking room for dissent. And he was, my dad was 6'2" from the Bronx. Yeah. He was a radio guy in New York. He was very opinionated. He was very eloquent. He was very persuasive and extremely likable. He was bigger than life. So to grow up as a little tiny kid around that, and so when I left for Europe, when I graduated high school, I worked for like 6 months. I worked 2 jobs. I saved up enough money to backpack around Europe for like 6 months by myself. And I changed, and I came back, and I sort of like stopped taking everything he said to heart. And it was a really difficult time for him. He really had a hard time with me doing that. And I remember when he told me once, he used to come see me do stand-up, and he was very supportive. But the night he came to see me was Princeton, New Jersey. And we went out to dinner after the show, and he goes, "You need to write more jokes." Because he'd seen me do the same jokes the last time he saw me. And I just immediately went, "Fuck you." And I didn't talk to him for a long time. I was like,
really?
No, you're not going to do that to me anymore. You don't have the power over me anymore. You're not going to tell me how to live, what to do. And I'm just wondering, like, if my kids, I don't think are going to go through that the way I did, my sister did, my brother all did with my father.
What if there was a website? I'm going to say this pitch. By the way, I own this pitch now. What if there was a website called Meet My Parents, where you have like some really great interviewer, like almost like a psychologist, interview your parents on a website and record it for history, so that you're like, I can say to my daughters or my daughter could say, you want to meet my grandparents? You never got to meet my grandparents. This is my granddad. And if you're dating her, you can go on the thing, go, hey, I'm Al Kreischer. It's good to meet you.
That's a great idea.
And then it's like because I would love to have, in you saying that, I was like, I would love to have met your dad. I know I can probably can I hear radio of him?
I have tapes I keep meaning to upload to YouTube. I need to do it.
I would love to meet my dad's dad. That would be like, my dad has spent more time talking to me about his dad than any one subject. And he died when he was 13, so he only has a handful of stories.
Yeah.
And so I've heard the same stories over and over again. But you hear them every time. You hear them your dad will start in and you're like, my dad didn't have a lot of money. And you're like, oh yeah. One of his favorite things to do is it's interesting. My dad's memories of his father would like, if I died right now, Isla would be like, my dad was on the road a lot. He had a friend named Joey Diaz. We used to love to have parties. My dad did a podcast in the man cave. Like, it would be very small scope of who I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
also you can bring it to therapy. Your first session is like, watch this tape. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Do you know what my dad got when I was 20? When I turned 26, when I first started stand up, my dad found his dad's diary from World War II.
Oh, wow.
And it was, I remember he gave it to me, but I wasn't there yet. Emotionally, I understood it, but I didn't understand what I was reading. I didn't know what a man was, really. I was just out of college, just starting stand up. I think I was really thinking about myself. One of the things he said in it that has always stuck with me was he would shave, and they were in the trenches, and his helmet, he'd put water in his helmet to shave, and he'd have to break the ice that would form over the water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you just think to yourself, like, it would be cool like, now that me and you have talked, to go, I want to go meet Greg's dad real quick, but not know that I met him, like I just go online and go, click, meet. I guess that technically is social media now. But
I'm thinking like our kids will be able to do that. They can just go listen to our podcast.
Yeah. Right. That's true. But for the average person, like, that could be like a facet of ancestry DNA. Is that you can, because you know how like me and Dave Keckner decided to do Ancestry DNA together because he's convinced that we're related because our families are the same and we're the same. And so we both signed up to do it. And but to be able to cross-reference if you're related to somebody, and then also another option is to watch videos of that person's ancestors. That would be cool.
That'd be cool.
And then now we have the technology to do that, and it's so easy. You could just literally, they send you a kit, and they give you the phone, and the phone's set up with an audio, and then you upload it, and then you've always got your grandparents on there.
I don't know that announcing on your own podcast from your garage that this is your idea is binding in court.
All right, guys. If you know how to do this, get in touch with me, and I'll sell you my idea. I've had so many fucking ideas. You know what my idea was the other day? This is my fucking genius idea. Okay.
A vagina that's in a flashlight?
Okay, never mind. You heard it. It is spikes, right? Like little spikes. But there's retractable, like you go, and then the spikes go and like widen out. And then if you push it together, the spikes go closer. It's one of those. It goes on a tray, and it's so you can stick meatballs and chicken wings on it.
Oh, I like that.
So that like when you cook chicken wings, you always cook one side first, and then you got to flip them all. No. We'll just air cook the whole area. We'll just crisp them up.
Smart.
Yeah. Meatballs, you always put meatballs on, and then they get flat on one side. And you're like, no. We just...
So this goes in the oven.
This is an attachment to one of your already cooking trays. You got those cookie trays in there.
Right.
And then you take this thing, and it's got you can make it like as wide or as thin as you want, and it pulls it out, and you got little spikes up, so you can just stick like 20 meatballs on there.
I love it.
Okay.
And then you don't have to worry about flipping anything.
You want to hear my brilliant idea that I was like, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. It's not in my wheelhouse, uses nothing in my skill set, but I was like, this is such a genius idea. I'm going to do it. I'm going to disrupt the industry. I'm going to innovate. So we went to Hawaii recently, and it was super fun. However, I remembered that I don't like the sun, and also putting on all the sunscreen before going to the pool every day was just very tedious.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish there was just a booth that you could stand in that would spray you with sunscreen, sort of like a spray tan.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sunscreen booth. Resorts should have these. mentioned it on my podcast. Turns out someone created this.
They already have it.
It was on Shark Tank. It's like not popular.
No. They have it. They have it in like Miami at places where they just put sunscreen on you.
Yeah.
But okay, you ready? Another idea. It's a tour bus condom for toilets. So what you do is this is my okay. So you put it.
You sure you want to hear your wife to hear this?
you put like almost think of like a condom in the sense that it's you can like take the elastic part and flip it over the toilet seat so that it's covered the toilet seat, and then it goes down and there's a little hole and a reservoir tip. So you shit into this condom and then close it up, and so that there's no shit in the toilet. You've technically shit into a bag. And so you can just throw away that bag.
It's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
Why don't they have those?
I don't know why they don't. I don't know.
I mean, it would kind of like bob on the water. Well, no, there's not water in a tour bus.
There's
toilet.
water.
There is.
It's a little problematic, but
My mom comes up with the worst ideas, and she gets so excited about them. And she said to me recently, because she flies out to see us from Florida, and she's like, and she's from the Bronx, and she's like, and you know these flights are so long, and you come out, and there's nothing to do in the seat, and you cramp up. She goes, they should have like a treadmill in the back, and you put in a quarter, and then you can go on the tread. I'm like, do you know the revenue they would give up in those 6 seats for
a quarter?
you put in a quarter. How long would a quarter last?
20 minutes.
And then you got someone sweating and breathing in the back.
But every hour you make
smelling like shit, and then getting
thumping.
back in their seat.
Just thumping.
but you make 75 cents per hour.
Oh my God.
On a flight to New York, you'd make at least $3. Is there any better feeling than when you hear someone's idea and it is so flawed, but they don't see it? They don't see the flaw in it. They're like, I never saw it that way.
Right.
I've had a lot of those ideas. I wanted to make a monkey fist fork. So it would be like a little tiny monkey fist that goes like this. So you get, instead of a fork, you get like it's a trigger that closes the monkey's fist. So you could grab salad with the monkey fist and release it into your mouth.
I love
think
that.
that's fun.
Yeah. Monkey fist fork.
What about how much would kids enjoy that?
Oh,
Right?
fucking yeah! Just grab a monkey fist fork, and you just eat like a king.
Yeah.
They used to eat back when they had babies feed them.
Yeah.
I don't know if babies ever fed them, but
Sounds
I remember
like a king thing
I remember
to
my
do.
daughter's. I came up with the idea because my daughter grabbed a fistful of goldfish.
Yeah.
And when she was a baby, and she's like, "Daddy," and I was like, "Yeah." And she just put her fist in my mouth and released them, and I went, "Well, that wouldn't be a bad way to eat." Get her to help me finish this salad that I can't get on a
You're
fork.
an emperor in ancient Rome. You just have 3-year-olds around.
Dipping their hand in a bowl of water, getting more food, dipping their hand. Fuck, this has been a great podcast.
It's amazing.
How much time have we
Super
done?
fun.
Oh, nice. Well, that's
about right.
perfect.
Good.
Yeah. So the podcast,
Childish.
Childish, and
Yes.
it's more than just parenting stuff, right?
Yeah, it's all sort. We talk about news. We talk about a lot of stuff about our lives.
Can I give you a suggestion?
Yes, please.
Would you bring your podcasting equipment into the delivery room and walk us through childbirth? I think it would be a first. It would be a brand new first. Hold on. It would be. You don't even need to be in the moment. All you need is what like a 128 gigabyte card, right? Plug it into a power source, get room tone, and just. I would pay money to
That
hear a
could
woman
be
give
huge.
birth.
Would you? I've
do
thought
it?
about that.
Do it behind a paywall.
Oh yeah,
Do it behind a paywall for $1.
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
I would pay
I
money
think
to
we
hear a
get 1
woman
million
give birth.
people.
You think we can get 1 million people?
You know how quickly that would go viral? Like, oh my God, did you hear Alison Rosen? She shit all over the place. And you can hear her husband going,
Okay, can I tell you something about my first birth?
Yeah.
So, as with this pregnancy, I'm like extremely constipated now. I was extremely constipated with my first pregnancy. And I ate a salad a couple days before labor, and I thought, well, this is just passive aggressive of me. No bowel movement, went into labor, and when it came time to push, I was like very worried that I was going to poop on the table, and it inhibited my pushing. And then I'm like, I got to get over it. And so I just, began pushing. And I was very curious, did I poop? And everyone claims I didn't. Are they lying to me?
Well, I don't
They
know.
all say I didn't.
As soon as my wife started shitting, I go, "You're shitting right now."
See, I feel like my
She's like, "Stop!" I go, "No, you're shitting. I just want you to know you're shitting. She's shitting. Is anyone going to check her blood pressure?"
All right, listen, I got to roll because I got to get to physical therapy.
For
on
what?
the west side at 4. My back.
What's wrong with it?
Just I'm old. I just need to loosen it up. It's all from my neck to my asshole is one unmovable piece at this point. So we're just doing
girl,
some
I
exercises.
hear you.
Loosen it up.
I hear you.
That's how I feel.
But yeah, Crashing's the podcast.
No, childish.
Crashing is on Sunday nights, which I wrote on the last couple seasons. Childish. Every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday. You can get it everywhere. If you want to visit our website, it's childishpod.com.
Is there a section where people can call in, ask questions?
Yes. We take voicemails and we take questions over
What's
email.
the number for voicemails?
I don't know off the top of my head, although you could look it up. If you go to our website.
Will you text it
It's
to
on
me?
there.
Yes.
Will you text it to me so we can put it in the thing? Because I would love
I will
to have
100%
my fans.
do that.
And then Fitzdog Radio's the podcast.
And
then
Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend is the other podcast.
And I get a couple quick tour dates. Can I plug those?
Please.
I'll be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, February 28th through March 2nd. And then March 14th through 16th, Springfield, Mass. The 17th, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, I will be my annual St. Patrick's Day show at the Improv in Hollywood. You want to do it? Are you around March 17th?
I fly in March 17th. I just booked my ticket.
You can't come out that night then.
A night?
You'll do it?
Let's do. No, hold on. Let's do a day one.
No, the show's set at night.
Yeah, let's do a day one too.
All right.
Let's marry them. You want to?
Let's do it.
We'll have one bleed into the other, and
Okay.
I'll see if they'll give me the room at like fucking 3 in the
That
afternoon.
would be amazing.
Noon.
I'm gonna get a band. I'll get
Are
an
you really?
Irish band. If it'd be kind of late at this point, but we'll
No,
get
we got
something.
plenty of time.
We'll get green. We had green beer last year, and we played Irish
hang
music.
on. Yeah. Let's do. Can we do this? Could we match them up and do a festival?
Yeah, let's go big.
Do an all-day festival.
Okay.
Tell all
Oh
our
my
friends
God.
to come in and do sets.
Yeah.
Right. We'll do stand-up all day long.
Okay.
It's drinking on the outside. You can watch comedy on the inside. Move in and out.
Yeah.
And we'll get a band for the outside by the beer garden.
Yep.
Let's do a festival at the Improv.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm stepping on your ideas.
St.
You already have
Patrick's
this thing.
Day, it's a festival.
All right, guys.
Go to
I love the
fitzdog.com
idea.
for tickets.
And I found the voicemail number. Should I just say it now?
Say it now, please.
So if you want to call in to Childish, leave us a voicemail. It's 323-553-2331. 323-553-2331.
Awesome.
All right.
Dude, congratulations, you guys. This is,
Thank
I got to be honest
you.
with you. Sometimes you do a podcast and you feel like you have to do work. And sometimes it's like this. And you just go like, did I talk too much?
No, this was
No,
great.
This was
this was
fucking
really fun.
awesome.
Really awesome.
This was
Great.
out of this
Thank you.
world. Thank
All
you
right.
guys. I
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
it. Congratulations.
Bye.